Good evening. This lecture Bezrat Hashem will be Leilui Nishmat Shmuel ben Chava, Leilui Nishmat Sofia Sonia Batzara, and also Lerefuat Aliza Malka Bat Lea, Shlomo ben Miriam, Refuat Cyril Shifra Bat Chaya. Baruch Hashem, yesterday I spoke 2.5 hours in Queens, and I started the lecture with the obligation of every person to thank Hashem, not only when things working very well. To thank Hashem. Why to thank Hashem? Even when things are not working the way you expected. Few reasons. One, no matter what God is doing to you, it's always for your own good. Even if He punishes you severely and take away everything you have, it's still for your own good. Because at the moment that Hashem decides to give you what He gives you, that means that there was no other better way to wake you up. And that was the right way to wake you up. Now you have two ways to look at it. One is to be upset about it and complain, and you miss the point and you don't get credit. The other way is to say, thank you Hashem, I know it's for my own good, and to work on yourself to get things better and to get out of it much, much, much stronger. Unfortunately, we are in a serious time of tragedy. Literally, every hour someone died. In Israel, 1,200 people died from the beginning of the civil year, which is 24 days, 25 days. Today they say 1,200 people died. The entire last year, 3,500 people died. Just this month alone, which is not even over, almost a third, more than a third of last year in 1 month. It's terrible. The mutation that came now, it's much, much, much stronger. It kills more people, and it's even affecting children. Unfortunately, even children. Since there is so much death around, it discourages a lot of people. I get emails from people that become desperate. I don't know what to do anymore, I can't take it, all kinds of desperation emails. You should know that one of the things the Torah told us, that before the Mashiach would come, there would be a massive test in emunah, in faith. People will go out of their mind. They will have to see what they see. There will be very, very difficult days. And only those who have strong faith in God will survive. The Gemara already told us, before the Mashiach come, who's going to get saved? Someone that has a lot of Torah in him and Gemilut Chasadim. Torah and kindness. I always said, Torah you find in the yeshivot. People that sit from morning to night, they learn Torah a week, they have Torah. Ordinary people that come to lectures, people that go to work, salespeople, clerks, drivers, what kind of Torah they learn? If we're lucky, they learn an hour a day, and usually they fall asleep 10 minutes before, as soon as the shiur starts, they fall asleep. Rabbi, I'm sorry, I was all day working on a bus, on a car service, Uber, everyone with his... By the time he comes to the shiur, he falls asleep. Even if he listens to lecture live, I speak to people. Almost all of them fall asleep in the middle. How do I know? Because they know only a third of the lecture. A third. By the time the action usually comes in the last hour, that part they didn't hear. Why? They begin to snore. So these kind of people, they're not serious learners of Torah, let's face it. Barely learn Torah. Someone that is connected to the app 24/6, very good, fantastic. So all day he listens to lectures. That's very good. Whenever he is. Jogging, driving, on the bus. Fantastic. But most people, unfortunately, they're not like that. So what will be with these people? They keep mitzvot, but they don't learn Torah. Then they have one more option. What is it? Gemilut chasadim. Running, serving, doing, caring for others. Gemilut chasadim. Gemilut chasadim is not something that it's easy. Since it's easy, I'll do it. But if it gets very difficult, I won't do it. Gemilut chasadim means when it's the last thing you would like to do right now and someone needs your help and you run, you help. They just told you someone just died, they need a minyan, you don't even know who he is, he doesn't have minyan, no one will say kaddish on him. You leave everything, you run, or they need minyan and you're in the middle of working. The more you sacrifice, the better it is, meaning the level of the Gemilut Chasadim gets higher and higher. And the reward is accordingly. The Rabbi Mikotz, there was one very big Hasidic Rebbe, very brilliant, sharp. There's a lot of stories about him, the way he looked at life. There was a Jew that is dying next to him in his community. With the Chevrat Kadisha, they came, they already lit candles. The person, they go with him before they die to do confession. Very scary moment. They do the confession, any minute he's going to close his eyes. Very scary. The family is around, people are crying, I don't have to tell you what's going on there. Especially if it's a young father or mother, which happens now a lot. Someone from Elad, young woman, just died yesterday. Left a lot of children. So you do vidui next to the person, and while he's saying Hashamnu, Bagadnu, up, they die in the middle. If they're lucky, they finish the whole list. If not, they died in the middle. The Gemara says a big secret. If a person died with his face looking, smiling, looks like he smiles, that's a very good sign. And when he's facing the people and he looks like he's smiling. It's the shape of his face. But if he turns his face to the wall or down to the mattress and he's not facing anyone and he doesn't look smiling, not such a good sign. This person said to his family, and he said, do you think now the Yetzer Hara left me? What do you think now? You think I have no Yetzer Hara? I'm about to die any minute? Do you think the Satan left me, the Satan? I want you to know right now he's fighting with me. What? That the Yetzer Hara say, why are you turning your face to the wall? Turn to the other side and begin to smile. That everyone will think that you were a big tzaddik. Even now, it doesn't leave me alone. To the last breath. Smile to them that you should die while you're smiling. But I am telling him, you won't fool me. I won't smile. I will turn to the other side and I won't fall into your advice. It cannot be that you give me a good advice. That's what he was telling his wife and children. A minute before he left the world. He's thinking about this Gemara in Masechet Ketubot, page 103. You can see it over there. They came to the Kotzker Rebbe and told him about this unique, interesting thing. And the Kotzker Rebbe said, unfortunately, the Satan won. Not my student, the Jew. The question is why? He thought, I'm going to win the Satan. He tells me to smile, to be a faker, to pretend I'm such a tzaddik. I won't fall into that advice. I'll turn to the wall, that everyone should know I was nothing special. So why the Satan won? Very humble guy, no? Wouldn't you want to be memorized in the next 20 years, that when your children tell everyone how you passed, that you were smiling like a baby? Wow, the Shekhinah was on his face. My father was such a tzaddik. You know how it is. So why would you want to ruin your reputation? So why the Kotzker Rebbe said that the Satan won him? Huh?
He wasn't doing vidui, or he didn't die?
No, he did vidui. He actually finished the vidui. Why is it? See, when your head works, you always know the answer. Because he told his family about it. What is the point? You try to be humble and you tell people, by the way, when you see me doing this and this, just that you know that I'm trying to be humble. Just like the person that say, Rabbi, I know you say that if somebody runs after the honor runs away from him. If somebody runs away from the honor will chase him. I've been running away from the honor for a while and it's not chasing me. The rabbi said, of course. You run 5 steps and you turn around. No, where are you? Why are you not chasing me? Run. You understand? This is what King Solomon said in Kohelet. Kohelet Yudbet, chapter 12, verse 14. את כל מעשה האלוקים יביא במשפט, על כל נעלם, אם טוב ואם רע. Everything will be judged, whether it's known, whether it's not known, whether it's good, whether it's not good. You cannot run away. The same Kotzker Rebbe, if you remember a few months ago I told you a story about him, that one secular guy showed up in his office and said to him, Rebbe, you the religious people are too fanatic. You're too extreme. You're too pedantic. You're too much for me. I want to be religious light. University style. Blue shirt, pink shirt. You know, nice gel in the hair. Come to Daf Yomi and play with my phone the entire hour. That's what I want. Big screen in my living room, watching sport all day. Rabbi, it's only sport. Don't I deserve a compliment? I only watch basketball. I don't even watch movies. Should make mamash bring an audience for him. Such a tzaddik. He only watch Tony and Vinny and all these names, whatever their name is. That's what he want to be. So he came to the Kotzker Rebbe, you know, and he said to him, you're too much for me. The Rebbe said, well, there's never too much. There's never enough. Smart person will always think, no matter what I do, I did not fulfill 1% of my obligation in life. If you think that way, maybe one day you'll fulfill most of your mission in life. If you think I'm great, you'll die empty, naked from mitzvot, nothing. Why? Because you always lived in illusion that you're great. So he came to the Kotzker Rebbe and he said to him, Rebbe, you religious people always write in the Aron Kodesh, in the shul, Shiviti Hashem lenigdi tamid. Hashem is always in front of my eyes. In most places they have it inside. Huh? Right here behind me. Here you go. Now you understand why Hashem sent us to the shul. Baruch Hashem. Not all shuls have it, some shuls have it. Shiviti Hashem lenigdi tamid. Translation, I always put Hashem in front of me, always. Meaning there's not 1 second that is not in front of me. There's not 1 second that I do something without thinking about Him. Everything I analyze, forget the proof I'm about to give you. He called 2 big Hasidish bulvans with the big body. Grab him. Oh my gosh. They grabbed him, bring him to the lake. No, I'm not going to the lake now. I only came to ask a question. Bring him to the lake. Oh, no, let me go. Push him to the lake. By the time he came to the lake, the Rebbe stand by the lake. They already know what to do. One of them, the big guy, grab his hair into the water. 20 seconds. The Rebbe goes like this. He takes him out. The Rebbe goes like this. In, out, like this, few minutes. Boom, boom, like this, 20, 30 times. Scream, cry, boom. After a few times, okay, leave him alone. You got it? He told him, you got it? What do you mean? I'm asking you a question, you come to torture me? He said, let me ask you a question. When you were under the water, did you think about your lovely wife? Absolutely not. Did you think about your great children? I'm sure you didn't have time to push them into your mind in a 5-second air. Did you think about your business, how nice it's growing recently? Did you think about the check the government just sent you? It should get there any minute. You've been waiting for it every day. Did you think about the new Mercedes you just ordered in the driveway, how excited you are for 2 nights you cannot sleep? Did you think about the millions you have in your bank account? Did you think about this? Did you think about your daughter getting married next week? No, everything, no. I can tell you for sure there was only one thing you were thinking about. I put my life on it. What? Air. Air. In. Air. For us, Hashem, God, is air. 1 minute without Him, we choke. We thank Him for every breath we take. For stupid people like you that live like animals, they don't care about Hashem, and they don't care about air, they don't care about what's going to happen with them. Like some fools told me over the years, Rabbi, you're right. The Torah is real, God is real. When we get to the bridge, we cross it. When you get to the bridge, your problems only will begin. You're not going to have time to cross the bridge. It's actually very interesting because Rabbi Nachman Mibreslev have a song that we sing in the seminars all the time. כל העולם כולו גשר צר מאוד. It's a very famous song. Everybody sing. גשר צר מאוד, גשר צר מאוד. And everybody, 500 people dancing, circles. Very, very touchy song. The question is, if Rabbi Nachman Mibreslev wrote a song, has to be very deep. It's not bialik. The bird is landing on a tree. The rain is coming. The flowers are blooming. The sky is crying. That's brainless people. They make songs like this. When somebody writes, even Gvirol, Ibn Ezra, all these, Akalir, all these big giant Chachamim, Rabbi Nachman Breslev, there used to be a lot of rabbis that were very, very good into writing songs, very deep, nice songs. So if he made a song, the entire world is a narrow bridge. What is the message that he's trying to teach us? Why the entire world is a narrow bridge? Why the entire world is not a narrow road? Why does it have to be a bridge? He could have said the entire world is a narrow bridge, a narrow street, or narrow road, or narrow highway. There's many ways to describe it. Why did he insist on a bridge? The answer is, Rabotai, what's the difference between a road and a bridge? There's one major difference. On the road, when you're tired and you're lazy and you want to snore a little bit, take a nap, you go on the side of the road, you go off, you take your chair down, you sleep for an hour or two, you get refreshed, and you move on with your trip. Nothing happened, besides losing some time. On a bridge, you must always be on the move. There is no time for rest, no time for time out, and definitely no time for naps. This life, this world is a bridge. You must be always on the move. If you're not, you're actually falling down. Why? Because time continues to progress. So if you stand, pause, you're going in reverse. It's like two cars that drive to the opposite direction. If each one of them drive, one south, one north, every second the distance is growing double. They both drive 60 miles an hour. So the difference between them is double because they're both on the opposite move. What if one of them stopped? So now only the distance is less. It's half. Why? Because the other one is pausing. When the time keeps going north and you are standing, the distances keep growing. If you move to the same direction, you catch it. If you stand, you are losing your life. That's why the Gemara say, Yoshev batel kemet dami. Sitting, doing nothing productive, meaning spiritually. Meaning watching basketball, watching football, watching baseball, watching a party, watching a movie, playing Xbox. The American style of wasting your life. It's considered burning your life with a torch. Yoshev batel kemet dami. That time that you sit and watch all these entertainments, or going to the stadium, or going to lay in the sun because you want to get some tan, so you waste 2 hours of your life now. All these together will add together and will be deducted from your entire life. Meaning if your life was 80 years, and all together the time you wasted every day, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, 10 hours, depending on the person. You add every day how many hours he burned, add it all together, that's called din v'cheshbon. And it can be that sometimes 30 years of your life went to the garbage. Right now, you're not sitting to mourn about those years. Because the Yetzer Hara is a genius. It will always convince you that there's plenty of time. You're already 90 almost. Don't worry. You're healthy. You don't smoke. You're strong. You eat steak every morning, 6 a.m. It's a little scotch. You jog. Until 2 years ago, you're still playing tennis in a country club. What's the rush? Plenty of time. Boom! All of a sudden, it's over. Nobody gives you heads up. All of a sudden, the dome lev, the brain stopped, the heart stopped to work. One of my students' father, 54. Who would ever believe? Went to sleep, didn't wake up. Shocked. No will, no preparation. Nobody knows what to do with his businesses. Nobody knows where his money is. It's going to take years now to find all the money. You have to start doing searching and hire detectives. Maybe they'll find it, maybe not. Until today, they're looking for all the money Yasser Arafat stole. They never recovered all the money. And Saddam Hussein. When the Jews died in the Holocaust, the Swiss bank stole hundreds of millions of dollars according to the rate of 70, 80 years ago, not according to today. $100 million 75 years ago was like 5 billion today, or 10 billion. You understand? In the end, they reached a settlement with the city of New York because they wanted to shut the bank, the Swiss bank in America. They agreed to pay $100 million. They got away easy. They didn't pay even 1% of how much they stole from the Jews. Why they were able to steal all the money? Back then, you only had an account with a number, just like Bitcoin. And therefore, a lot of people put money in the Swiss bank because they didn't want anyone to know they have this money. And one day they died, nobody knows about it. Nobody can claim it. And they went and saw every inactive account. They took it for themselves. That's how they became one of the most powerful banks in the world. But their time will come. Everybody's time will come. Nobody can get away with what they do. Hashem has a lot of patience. And this was just to give you a little bit idea. Imagine those poor Jews. Not only they had such miserable end to their life, imagine how much they were eating their heart, that they first of all don't know if their family survive or not. They separated all of them. So in their mind, they're thinking, maybe my son survive, maybe my 2 sons survive. How will they ever find the money? How will I be able to tell them where I hid it? Some of them hid it in a forest. They made a mark in bunkers. They just found 2 days ago dozens of pairs of tefillin in ghetto Warsaw. Jews gathered all the tefillin and hid it in a bunker. They just found it after 75 years. They found those tefillin. The Jews, they knew that they're going to throw everything to the garbage or to the fire, so they gathered all the tefillin before they took them and killed them. They hid all of them to keep their holiness. This lischutam yamer, you got to give them a lot of credit, because when you know in a few hours they're going to burn you and your children, and you're still thinking about the holiness of your tefillin, you really deserve a huge yishar koach. One time Rabbi Aderet told me a story that I never knew that until I heard it from him, that when the boats came from Europe for the survivors that came to America, they came to seaport. That's why you had a Jewish community in Lower East Side, because the Jews have a way of coming with whatever they have, little cash, whatever they had in a suitcase. Remember, there was no wires like today. It was a different world. So whatever they had, diamonds, gold, whatever they were able to recover, they landed here, they came out of the boat, they walked around. I want to buy this building. Yeah, 2 brothers, they put money, down payment, they bought it. Slowly, more and more Jews came. By the way, some of them came before the Holocaust, maybe even 50 years before. In the 1800s, there was immigration already. And they started to open all these schools, Hasidim de Polin, the Bialystoker, then later Young Israel. I used to live in Lower East Side. Some of the Gemarot there was from the 1800s, big one, yellow. You open the page, it falls apart, become powder. All the way on the top shelf. I was so curious. What's all these Gemarot on the top shelf? Nobody reached it. One time I took one out, opened it up, all the pages were yellow. Completely, from it's already more than 200 years old. This is history of the place. So they came to Lower East Side. Okay, after the Holocaust, the survivors came, and they were waiting to get to the dock. And all the relatives, the rich Americans, with their night suits and hats, remember the 40s, they came here. They are all destroyed mentally, physically. 1 survivor out of 30, 2 out of 50. That's what it was. Nothing, they have nothing. Barely a shirt to wear. And they see the relatives in America, bow ties, fancy watches, standing by seaport and waving to them. Remember, there was no telephone back then, no internet. Nobody knows what's going on. They knew that they're killing Jews in Europe. They had no idea how horrible it was. So when they saw that their relatives here enjoying America and dressed so nice and all chubby and fat and enjoying the life, all rich, waiting by the boat, they were so broken. They took their tefillin and all of them threw the tefillin into the water. They lost their mind. If Rabbi Aderet said there's a bunch of tefillin under the water there that was never recovered, they threw it in. What would cause a Jew that gave his life not to miss a day of tefillin to take it and throw it into the water, besides losing his mind completely? That's it. You lose sanity. Why? The pain is so strong, you don't think anymore what you do. It happens. It's called temporary insanity. If they would kill someone in today's court with the expert, they would dismiss the case. It's a temporary insanity. There is actually such a thing in the Gemara. The Gemara asks if a person has temporarily insanity in Leil HaSeder, the night of Leil HaSeder. He lost his mind. Talks to himself, lost his mind. He can't control him. And he ate matzah with the people in Leil HaSeder, and then he went back to be normal around 1 a.m. From 9 to 1, he went out of his mind. Making voices like monkey, jumping on a chair, pulling his hair, crying, laughing. Lost his mind. Then he came back to conscience. What's the rule now? Did he fulfill his obligation to eat matzah on the night of Pesach, or because he was a shoite means insane, he has to repeat it now, because when a person is insane, is not obligated to keep mitzvot. Shote patur mi mitzvot. If you lose your mind and you didn't keep a specific mitzvah, you're not guilty. So you see, 2,000 years ago, Chazal already knew about the concept of temporary insanity. The halacha is that a person must eat matzah again with bracha, because he wasn't aware of what he's doing. Wasn't aware. What would make a bunch of Jews that suffer so much, finally now after weeks and weeks in the ocean, they arrive to New York, to take their tefillin that they held to in the camps, in Auschwitz, in all these places, to throw it into the water with bitter, broken heart, has to be temporary insanity. Lost their mind from pain. The pain was so huge they couldn't take it. The same people, every day they risk their life to put tefillin. Every day. There was one rabbi in Cincinnati. His name was Rabbi Silver. He only passed a few years ago. Still alive until a few years ago. Rabbi Silver was a Talmid Chacham. And one time on Shabbat, he sees one of the guests of the community, one of the member of the community, walking into the shul with a guest. He was a major in the army. Baruch chaplain, Baruch Hashem. The guest walked into the shul, took a yarmulke from the box. You know those yarmulke that fly in the wind? And they put it on, and he took a siddur, and he davened the entire davening, and he also actually is aware of all the halachot. You can see he used to be religious. He knows when to say Kaddish, he knows when to step back, when to bow down, he knows everything. To stand, to sit, everything. After the davening, Rav Silver came to him and said to him, Good Shabbos, Shalom Aleichem. Who do I have the honor to? My name is such and such. I realize that you are aware of all the halachot, which means he used to be from religious. So what happened? So he showed him the number. He showed him, that's what happened. You see? After what I saw in a camp, after what I saw, I'm done with him. I'm done with him. He said to him, listen, a lot of people were just suffering as much as you. They came out of the camps, and what happened in the end? They became even more religious. You survived. What made you think to go against Hashem after He saved you? That's not saving. Or our whole family, this, that. You know the answers they normally give. It's very hard to judge people like this. Very difficult. Anyway, he told Rav Silver a story. He said to him, when the Nazis were bored, there was no work, they used to make us stand 3 days in a row, from morning to night. You get a little bowl of soup, sometimes if you're lucky, one slice of bread, and you have to stand 16, 17 hours in the sun, in the snow, depend. Just stand like this, like a rock. If you move your head, you turn your face, boom, they shoot you in the head. And if they shot someone and he fell on the floor and you look, they shoot you also. They took away your dignity completely. We were standing there for hours and hours and hours. It was already almost 6 p.m. from early in the morning. My friend say to me, Fischel, it's 5 minutes before sunset. 5 minutes before sunset. And I asked him, what do I care now about sunset? Standing in from 5 a.m. He said to him, we did not have a chance yet today to put tefillin. He's telling Rav Silver the story. Do you understand how devoted we were in our condition? We were risking our life in the morning early. That's how serious we were in religion. But none of it helped us. God still killed all of us, and I survived. Then he said how they used to put tefillin. Listen to this. He said there was one old wicked man, very evil Jew, that had one pair of tefillin in the entire camp. Somehow he was able to smuggle it. Nobody has tefillin, only him. Every morning there's a line. All the prisoners standing on line, quickly they put tefillin, say Shema Israel, quickly, next one. Now when the German monster will show up, I don't have to tell you if we will catch them with the tefillin, they will shoot all of them. So they are putting the tefillin and shaking, when will a bullet hit my head? Very scary, not like us sitting in the AC in the heat. אשרי יושבי ביתך, עוד יעלוך סלע. Different style. Putting tefillin, risking your life. And he said, this old man was so evil and so selfish, he did not want to let anyone put tefillin for free. You had to pay him. So how do you pay? You don't have money. How do you pay? Either you have a half a slice of bread that you picked up from the sand, peels of potatoes, half a cigarette that the Nazi threw on the floor, a button from your shirt. A button had a huge value. If you gave him a button, because they used to do trade. So he said, there was one old man that wanted to put tefillin, and the other old man does not want to let him put tefillin. So everybody screamed, leave him alone. How is he going to get you more food? He barely lives. Let him put tefillin. No, business is business. If I let him put tefillin, all of you would come tomorrow and want to put tefillin. I'm sorry, that's my leverage here. After I saw that religion is all business, that's what he said to Rav Silver. You expect me to stay from? That's the story. Baruch Hashem, Rav Silver was very smart, sharp, on the spot. He told him, your ear should listen to your mouth. You just described hundreds of Jewish prisoners who lost everything they have in their life. Their children, family, money, house, everything was taken away from them. They are in the highest level of suffering you can imagine, mentally and physically. They all look like skeletons, and they are completely dismissed from putting tefillin. They don't have to, according to the Torah. Anus Rachmana Patre. No one will hold them guilty. And they still cannot go one day without missing tefillin. They come, they risk their life every morning. Some of them did die. So from all these righteous Jews that were so devoted to Hashem, in the worst condition in life, you did not choose to learn anything. You only chose to learn from the one evil one that was there. But 300 righteous ones that will care for each other, help each other, do not want to go one day without tefillin, you didn't learn anything. Nothing, devotion, nothing. One wicked, selfish one, that's your hero? That's who you're learning from? Who are you telling stories? You chose to be secular and you just looked for excuses. What do you think happened? That guy Fischel burst in big tears, started to cry seriously, said to him, Rabbi, you're right. It's all excuses. Make tshuva now, it's not too late. And he made him Baal tshuva. I hate if that story would finish that he would refuse to do tshuva, chaval. For all he went through in the end to lose his share to the world to come, God forbid. At least he did tshuva. So this is just to show you, Rabotai, after all of that, they arrived here to Seaport and they saw the doctors, the lawyers, the judges of New York coming with the cigars and the white hats and the bow ties, fancy schmancy. You know, it used to be those days here in Brooklyn, right here on the beach. What's the name of that beach? Coney Island. A lot of Jews used to walk there on Shabbos with yarmulke and hats. Unbelievable life it was here in the 50s. Today it's only history. And who knows how long we'll be able to stay here. We don't even know what's going to happen. I heard already they started to attack in Williamsburg. You heard about something? Someone told me that it's starting already. We will wait and see. You have to learn from every living creature how to behave. The Gemara in Masechet Eruvin, the Gemara says, if we would not receive the Torah from Hashem, we would have to learn how to behave from the cat and from the rooster. היינו למדים דרך ארץ מהחתול ומהרוסטר, from the תרנגול, male chicken. From all the people in the world, or all the animals in the world, we have to learn from a cat, from a rooster. Every animal has something unique about it, that you can focus on it and learn how to behave. For instance, you have an ant. The ant lives 6 months. And the ant eats 1.5 pieces of wheat. 1 piece of wheat, which is nothing, you can barely see it. 1.5, that's how much an ant can eat in 6 months. And what do the ants do all day? Grab wheat to their shelter from morning to night. And it's very interesting, because if the ant became tired and cannot drag the wheat into the shelter, the storage, if it leaves it in the middle of the road, all the ants come, they go around it, no one dare to touch it, until the original ant will come and get it. It's very interesting. King Solomon said, go to the ant and learn how to be a hard-working person. One thing I don't understand, all the ants are all thieves. Where did they get all the wheat? From people. Where do they get wheat? Where do you have wheat? In storages, in stores, right? So they come quickly, they grab, a few of them maybe fell on the floor, they grab it and they steal it. But they're very loyal to each other. The thieves are very loyal to each other. Just like the Israeli mafia. Why don't you attack this store? That store belongs to this one, this family. Don't dare to walk in. We share the territories. We will torture 30 blocks from here to south. They will torture 50 blocks from south to north. Why? Nobody steps on each other. If you disrespect what protection we collect from all the store, it's going to be a world war. Boom, bam, it never ends. So they give respect to each other. I'll give you an example what I'm talking about. There was one Hasid in Israel that had a boy that was a handicapped boy. Cannot walk. He has a wheelchair. Sits on a wheelchair, young boy. Bar mitzvah, 14, 15, something like that. It was impossible for the father to send him to yeshiva with buses, because back then, buses did not have the lift. People had to pick up the wheelchair. It was a disaster. He decided, I must buy a car with a big trunk that we can put the wheelchair inside folded, will take you every morning to yeshiva and pick you up. He came to a yard when they sell used car. You know they say in America, never trust a used car salesman. I don't know why in America they hold the car salesman as professional crooks. I don't know why. And so you come to the place, the yard, and they're going to show you all these cars. And this Hasid, what does he know from his life? He never owned a car. He doesn't know about mechanic condition. He believes whatever you tell him. So he came over there. There were 3 Israeli secular partners. 3. He walks into the budke, to their office. They have in the back an office. He said, I would like to buy a car. How much money you have? $7,000. That he got there from the Gmach, from here, from my aunt, from my uncle, you know. Put together, everybody chipped in for the handicapped boy. So they say to him, we have a great car for you. Great, big trunk. Look at this Volvo. In Israel, Volvo is a good car, massive. Here, nobody cares about this car. But you remember that Rabbi Wallerstein once said a story about the Volvo. Did you hear that or no? Volvo is a very fancy car. Almost like Mercedes. But it doesn't have such a good name in America for whatever reason. So there was an Ashkenazi couple here from Flatbush, very wealthy, decided to surprise their daughter, and they bought her a Volvo SUV, brand new, $50,000 car. And when she came and she saw the Volvo, you got me Volvo? I'll never forget that. Someone sent me that clip. I understand, maybe 7-8 years ago he told that story. You heard that? Volvo? In Israel, Netanyahu doesn't have a Volvo. Yeah, go and check what car the ministers of the government drive. Toyota Camry. You see my Toyota Camry over here? It's car of poor people here in America. How much is the lease? 200 and change. In Israel, it's a sign that you are a wealthy businessman or a member of the Knesset. Every car costs 2.5 times more. Big difference. Volvo. Now, one of the 3 partners had a heart. The other 2 have no heart. So he said to him, to the Hasid, there are other cars. You don't have to stick to the Volvo. Why? Because the transmission of the Volvo is finished. To change transmission, the whole $7,000 won't be enough. Basically, you're burning your money. And he saw the poor Hasid on a wheelchair. His heart did not let him do such a thing. Totally secular, Mechalel Shabbat. But he felt bad for that Hasidic boy. So he kept pushing this naive Hasid that didn't know what's going on over here. 2 partners said the Volvo is exactly for you. The 3rd one said, no, there is this car and that one and Subaru and that. And they look at him and said, don't drive him crazy. Trust us. This exactly, look, the wheelchair is exactly in the trunk. No matter what he did to try to save him, he doesn't get the point. Some Hasidim, they come from such a pure environment, they can't even imagine that there's such low life in the world. That you will come with a boy on a wheelchair and he's going to try to give you a car with a. That's why I always tell them when they speak to me, forget what you think the world is. The Gemara already spoke to people like you. Don't be naive. Yes, you grew up in a clean environment. You did not come across goyim or secular people. You were in the Hasidic ghetto. But now you came out to the world. You got to do some business. You have no idea how many crooks are out there. The Gemara say every person, you have to respect him like he's Rabban Gamliel, the president of Israel. But at the same time, you must suspect him like he's a serious professional robber, criminal. You look at him, maybe he's a Rosh HaSanhedrin, the most important tzaddik on earth. Maybe he's the biggest lowlife on earth. I don't know, 50-50. So, I will respect him, I will give him food, I will give him water, I will answer him nicely. But in the back of my mind, I'm on alert. When will he pull his gun or knife and try to rob me? I'm waiting. Even he sleeps in your house. Can you take gas for Shabbos? How do you know who he is? How do you know? You know Rav Yaakov Kaminetsky, the biggest tzaddik on earth, was living until a few years ago in Monsey, 96 years of life. His son is also very big, Talmid Chacham, tzaddik in Philadelphia. When he was in his 20s, newly married, he walked with his wife. Back then he didn't have buses, taxi, Uber. He had to walk for days to arrive to the yeshiva on Shabbat. They walked in a snowstorm. It was freezing. It got dark. It was Thursday already, Thursday evening. Massive wind and snow. Rav Yaakov Kaminetsky, which back then wasn't a rabbi yet, was a young man with his wife. Imagine this, walking in the wind with the freezing weather of Russia. They decided to look for a house that has a mezuzah. They can knock on the door and say, listen, it's pikuach nefesh, we may die from the cold weather. Maybe you give us a place to sleep until the morning. We continue to walk to the yeshiva. We have to be there on Shabbat. A man opened up the door, a rich man, nice big house. And he said to them, I'm sorry, I cannot have you in my house. They beg him, listen, it's pikuach nefesh. We are very embarrassed to bother you now in the evening. You don't even know us, but what can we do? We're a couple, we're from, we're religious. I cannot let you in my house. After begging him for a long time, he asked him, can we at least stay under the cover here on the side of the house? You have a cover. Maybe the snow won't fall on our head at least. He's thinking. Okay, but don't move from here. In the morning when I come out, I want to see over here. Don't move. Don't go to the back. Don't go anywhere. Okay, no problem. So, in the morning, early, they woke up. They became ice. Imagine sleeping in night like tonight, you become ice. It was a lot colder there. They continued to walk to the yeshiva. They arrived there before Shabbat. Shabbat morning, he's sitting in a shul, and the Gabbai is giving the best aliyah. By the Ashkenazim, the best aliyah is Shlishi. Either the rabbi or the Gvir gets it. By the Sfaradim, the best aliyah is the sixth one, Shishi. Because they go based on Kabbalah. Also Hasidim also. Why? We go, Shishi, Yosef is Yesod, the most important aliyah. The Ashkenazim go only by Pshat, no Kabbalah. So the third one, after the Kohen and Levi. You have to give Kohen and Levi. The first important aliyah is the one that comes right after. But if there is no Kohen in the shul, then you give the rabbi the first aliyah, because the Kohen is more important than Shlishi. Usually you only get Shlishi because there is a Kohen and Levi. And if there's no Kohen in an Ashkenazi shul, they have to give the first aliyah to the Kohen. Also by Sfaradim. By Sfaradim, a lot of them will give the first aliyah to the rabbi. Even though Shishi it's important because there's no Kohen, the first aliyah. Tov. He sees the Gabbai is calling this evil person and give him aliyah Shlishi. And people give him respect. He cannot believe it. Rabbi Yaakov Kaminetsky, this person almost killed us. Could not give us a place to sleep like two, what are we, two dogs? He couldn't give us a blanket, something, nothing. He comes to the Gabbai and he said to him, I don't understand. This person is the most important person in your community? Why? What's the problem? We were begging him to go in last night, me and my wife, to get a place, a room. He refused to let us in. How can you give someone like this aliyat shlishi when the rabbi is here? He said to him, relax, Rabbi Yankev. I'll explain to you after the davening what happened. After he finished, he came to him and said, let me explain to you. A few days before you knocked on his door, until then he was the number one person in town with hospitality. Every person who needed a place to sleep came to him. And he always opened his rooms. People got rooms, food, drinks, maid took care of them, everything. Until few days before you came, someone robbed him. He allowed the person to sleep in his house. In the middle of the night, he robbed all the silver things, the menorah, this, put everything in a blanket, and robbed him. And he swore that that's it, he's done with guests. He does not let anymore any stranger come into his house. Never. Bad luck. You just came a few days later. But he's not evil like you think. He was doing a lot of chesed over the years. This story was told by Rav Ben Zion Abba Shaul in Porat Yosef in Yerushalayim. And Rav Ben Zion Abba Shaul said, the thief that robbed this rich man, what does he think? What did I do? I stole $1,000 silverware. Some expensive silver, big deal. It's not the end of the world, I'm not a murderer, right? I didn't kill him. But what would happen if, God forbid, Rav Yaakov Kaminetsky would freeze to death that night? You wouldn't have Torah Vadat and all these yeshivot that he was involved with, and hundreds of big Ashkenazi rabbis all over the world are his students. Thousands of Talmidei Chachamim came out of him. Yeshiva Bet David in Monsey was the rabbi, a lot of him. All of that would go down the drain because of one lousy, ungrateful thief. And the thief in his mind, he thinks, I'm a thief. I'm not a tzaddik, but I'm not such a big criminal. You just caused the spiritual holocaust. Thousands of rabbis will not come to the world because of you. The Gdol Ador would not become who he became. It would affect the entire generation and generation. Rav Shmuel Kaminetsky would not be the head of the community of Philadelphia today. How many things came out of that? The miracle that Hashem did to him that night. He could very easily, Chas v'Shalom, died from freezing. So, I started to explain. The Gemara says, from every animal, there is something to learn. Something to learn. If we didn't have Torah, we would have to learn from the animals how to behave. I was actually in the middle of a different story, no?
Story of the car.
With the car, yeah. I said something is stuck here. Anyway, so the story with the car. The story with the car is that this secular guy is telling the other two, don't give him the Volvo. Then when he saw this Hasid did not get the point, he said to the Hasid, don't touch this Volvo. The transmission is finished. They looked at him, the other two criminals. What? You just betrayed us? The Hasid quickly took the money, took the wheelchair, and ran away from there. They started to punch him, makot, boom, bam, boom, broke a chair on his head. The criminals, the gangster, they have their own bed din. It's a little bit different than the bed din of the Torah. They go to the biggest murderer. He has to be an arbitrator between them. It's called in Hebrew, the borer, arbitrator. So the more people he murders, the more honor he gets. So if somebody only murders 6, there is somebody much bigger and is longer in business than you. He is the borer. Until someone will put a bomb in his car and will explode, somebody else will be the borer. That's how it goes with these fools. One time I was invited to speak to them in Israel, in Ramat Gan, 2 hours before my flight back to America. The person organized it after they put a bomb in a car of one guy that is one of the gang. So his father and his brother used to listen to my lectures. They say they want me to come to the 30th. It was the 30th that night. So they took a big place in Ramat Gan. When I arrived to the place, I see these huge Russian gorillas. Each one of them 3-4 feet wide. Standing over there, walkie-talkie, security. They check who comes in. They stand by the door. Not everybody can come into the lecture because the gangster is sitting inside. If somebody come with a gun, so they will check. So I can't. I don't know how the rabbi looks. You check me out. Miata, who are you? I'm the speaker. They check. Now I'm going there. I'm sitting on the stage. They're all sitting in the front. All the famous gangsters from the television. Murderer 1, murderer 2, head of this gangs and head of that gang, all the famous one. You have to listen to that lecture. The guy that organized it, he told me you had to be very careful. This is people with no patience. Be careful not to talk about Chalelei Shabbat, they have no shelter wall to come, or murder. I don't want problem. For 2 hours I ripped them to pieces. Shame on you, you're killing people for money, you're selling drugs to kids. I killed them. I see they're like dying to pull their machine guns. Only later I realized how brave I was, or stupid, depending how you want to call it. Some of them got up and left, but some of them stayed to the end. But peacefully I escaped and I went to the airport. But after we posted it on YouTube, the guy that organized that lecture called me panic. What did you do? What? Why did you call the lecture a lecture for the gangster and for the people with the bluff lifestyle? לאנשי הבלוף. They're going crazy. I said to him, first of all, I didn't name the lecture, which is true. Somebody else named the lecture. And what's not true here? This is all people who kill people for money. What's the point? No, change the name. In the end, it was impossible to change the name because you don't know who put it. You know how it is. And that was the end. It's still on, this lecture. Every once in a while I see it on the side. You know, when the YouTube lecture, you see this lecture still accumulating more views today after a few years. So they took this guy to the borer. Instead of the borer say, nice, I'm so proud of you, you still have a heart, you did not stick the bad Volvo to this poor guy with the wheelchair. What did he say? You a traitor. You betrayed your partners. So what's the verdict? The verdict is that you cannot be a partner any longer, and you have to give them their third of the deal, meaning whatever profit was supposed to be on the Volvo, let's say they bought it for 4 and they sell it for 7, each one supposed to make 1,000, you have to give each one of them 1,000. And you can no longer be a partner. You lost your partnership. They threw him out of the business with no money. That's Sodom and Gomorrah rules. 1 year he cannot find a job. Remember, he owned a garage to sell cars. 1 year he's at home. His wife, a secular woman, she kept telling him, Moshe, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud to be a wife. I am honored of what you did. I don't care we'll starve, but you did the right thing. Now remember, this is a secular couple. For 1 year he cannot find a job everywhere he go. After a year, they have a job interview by a bus company, private bus company. They're looking for a mechanic, bus mechanics. This guy used to be mechanic 15 years ago, before he got into selling cars. His wife told him, maybe you should go become a mechanic. He came to the place. He see 30 or 40 mechanics waiting online to go into an interview. There's a board. Every 5-10 minutes they call someone in. I see a huge line. I'm going to be there half a day now. But I'm desperate. I need a job. He's sitting there an hour or two. They call his name. I have to fill up the questionnaire. He walks in. He see all Hasidim over there. 12 Hasidim sitting. The board of this company. Big company in Israel of buses. They say to him, how many years of experience you have? I worked 3 years as mechanic. When was your last job? 15 years ago. You know how to work on Mercedes buses? I never worked on Mercedes buses. 15 years ago, it's different buses. To be honest with you, there are people here that already we interviewed, they have much better resume. But if we will hire you, we will let you know. They send him home. He's so desperate. He walks home, be there. Why did I waste half a day here? Then a little Hasidish boy ran after him. Sir, אדוני, תחזור בבקשה. Come back. Looks at the boy, what do you want? He said, the people over there, they call you. They told me to call you. He's thinking, should I go back? What are these Hasidim wasting my time now? Not only I waited here 3-4 hours, now I have to go back. But you know, when you're desperate, you don't want to later on blame yourself that you did not take the opportunity. So he came back. He walked in. They all look at him. One of them said to him, excuse me, did you have a place of used cars in this neighborhood over there a year ago? Say yes. You remember me? He took his hat off. You remember me? No. I came to you with a boy on a wheelchair. You saved me from buying that Volvo. Oh yeah. Baruch Hashem, you're the reason why I'm unemployed for a year already. And I lost my partnership there. So don't worry. It's time to make it up to you. They hired him on the spot. They made him the manager of the entire place. He was making more money than his partnership in the other place. For years. But for 1 year, Hashem tested him. Why didn't give him a job 2 weeks later? 1 year. Why? To see if he will regret the mitzvah he did or not. The Gemara says if a person did a big mitzvah and then later he said, I'm sorry I did it, I should have not done it, he lost the reward. Like he never did the mitzvah.
Verbally, if you say verbally or if you say it
Verbally. He has to say, Chaval שעשיתי, I wish I would not do. So, what can you learn from a rooster? Before he become intimate with his female, he puts a show. Not like today. Honey, I'm home. The gorilla showed up. Moshe, I'm not in the mood today. Learn from the rooster. He comes, he puts a show, a little comedy, dance around her. She pushes him away. He makes a show. After 10-20 minutes, she gets in the mood. The rooster got what he wanted. What about the cat and the dogs? They cover their waist. Go in Manhattan, see how many people in the subway go in public and they don't cover their waist. Unfortunately. So every animal, there is something to learn from. What can you learn from a horse? He's very brave in a war. סוס ורוחבו רמה וים. You see swords, spears, bow and arrow. Whoop, into the fire. Well, you fool. Turn around and run. Boom. No problem. We'll drown. Every animal you can learn from. Let's tell you a story that will make it clear. Rabbi Yeshaya, תלמידו של רבי חנינה בן דוסה, student of Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa, was fasting 85 days in a row. 85, from morning to night. 85 days. Why? Because it says, klavim, dogs, that it's written about them in the Torah that they are arrogant, azei panim, they have chutzpah. For nothing, they bark, they want to tear you apart. Hey, what did I do to you? I'm only walking in the street, wow, jumping on the fence. Why are you so arrogant? No other animal will do such thing. You come to the Bronx Zoo, you see the tiger there by the glass. Doesn't even move, doesn't even look at you. Like they say in Israel, לא רואה אותך ממטר. You bang on the glass, boom, 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 a tiger. Just had a nap. You just walk by the door, wow. What happened? The Gemara says, כלבים עזי פנים. Soon we will see what kind of wicked people are compared to dogs. When the time comes, these arrogant dogs will sing to Hashem. What will be their song? What will be their song? בואו נשתחווה ונכרע, נברכה לפני השם עושנו. Let's go and bow down to Hashem, right? Before our God, our Creator. You know, there is a midrash called Perek Shira. How many animals are praising Hashem over there? 85. Why not 2 million? We know 2 million animals today by names. Different kinds of butterfly and mice and all different kinds of baboons and monkeys and this. Why only 85? The angel came from Shamayim and say, Yeshaya, Hashem sent an angel to Rabbi Yeshaya, the student of Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa. He lived about 2100 years ago. He came to him and said to him, why are you fasting for such a thing? Why it's so important to you? Why is he fasting? He wants to know why Hashem gave the dogs the merit to sing to him and to say all of us should come and bow down to Hashem. From all the animals, the most chutzpahdik one, he's going to praise Hashem? Doesn't add up. Fasting every day, Hashem, show me the answer. Who came? The angel came. למה אתה מתענה על אותו דבר? Why are you fasting? It's a decree by Hashem. Not every decree you can understand the secret. When, from the time Hashem told this secret to Chavakuk HaNavi, Chavakuk HaNavi was in Iran. It's buried there, Persia. He never told that secret to any human being. 2,500 years until today. Nobody knows. אלא בשביל שאתה תלמידו של חכם גדול, but we will respect you, not for you, for your rabbi. Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa, the Gemara said the entire world is eating thanks to his merit. All the people in the world. And he eats carobs all week. Just carobs and water. That's how righteous he was. Because you are a student of a legend, right? They sent me from heaven to tell you the secret. K'tlavim, k'tiv bahem, dogs, it's written about the dogs, ולכל בני ישראל לא יחרץ כלב לשונו. When the Jews came out of Egypt, in the exodus of Egypt, after the 10th plague, every firstborn fell and died at midnight. They were coming in the middle of the night out. The dogs were silent, which is against their nature. Dogs does not see millions of people walking nearby and they don't bark. If you go online, you see a lecture that I gave in a moshav next to Netanya, about a year ago. Next to Netanya, it's called Even Yehuda, all Yemenite. One moshav, all private homes, all Temanim. Beautiful moshav, big homes, 1, 2, 3. I'm sitting in a backyard, nice big backyard, more than 100 people sitting, nice sunny night, and behind the wall, sunny mean warm, and behind me, non-stop barking. How, maybe dozens of them. Wow, non-stop. The entire lecture. One of the best lecture ever. But they did not leave you alone. More than 2 hours. More than 2 hours. Wow. At night, I don't have to tell you how loud it is. When a dog barks during the day, and when a dog barks at night is at least 3 times louder. Why? You don't have the sun that cuts the waves of the voice. During the day, the sun is cutting the waves, the voice waves. So they travel less. But at night, you don't have the sun, so it goes express. It's like used to be this French Air France, what's the name? Concorde. 2 hours, you're in France. They went out of business. Why? People want to sleep a little bit. It's too fast. By the time I sit and buckle my seatbelt, already you're coming to Paris. They went out of business. It was a very, very fast airplane. Instead of 7, 8 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours, you're in France. Concorde. I don't know why they canceled it, such a great thing. Probably was very expensive. So, anyway, because you are an important student of Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa, you should know the dogs did not open their mouth in the exodus of Egypt. As results of that, Hashem gave them a reward. What's the reward? When they dump their waste, after it dries completely, become like lime, powder, completely dry. Doesn't have smell, nothing. They smash it, it become like a powder. What do? Because it changes nature. It's not bad smell or anything like that. They process the letters of the Torah, Sefer Torah, Tefillin and Mezuzot, the parsnips. They process it in this material. Why did Hashem give such a reward to these arrogant dogs that every Sefer Torah or Tefillin, the Mezuzot, they will have a share in it? How can it be? The answer is, he said to him, לעניין השאלה ששאלת, about the question you ask, חזור לאחוריך, go back, שנאמר, שומר פיו ולשונו, שומר מצרות נפשו. Don't ask too many questions. It's a big secret. This midrash is a little bit strange. A little bit strange. The angel already came all the way to speak to me. I'm here with you now. You're playing games with me. It's not a girl that goes on a date. We're going to talk to the Shatchanit. You wait 2 weeks until she agreed to call. It's a different story. You're already here. No. I will call the Shatchanit. Tough. In America, that's the way it is. They want to go on a date. 2 weeks until they call 2 references. 2 weeks. No, they call the Shatchanit. Did they check? No. They will check on Monday. Why? It's Thursday today. Why they wait until Monday? They're not in a rush. Everything in America is slowly. Or poco. Tranquilo, senor. We're not in a rush anywhere. But why? You're 50 years old already. We're not in a rush. חיפזון מן השטן. It's not good to rush. טוב. You know, in America, you're a salesman, you want to sell a business something, we'll get back to you. 2 months. You keep calling. Just say you're not interested. Why are you dragging it for 2 months? Why? That's the way the world is. The angel is already there. You came all the way to speak to me, now you don't want to give me the answer? A little bit strange, no? What's the secret over here about the dog? The answer is, the angel used a verse, a pasuk, ולכל בני ישראל לא יחרץ כלב לשונו. The nation of Israel did not hear one bark. We know earlier the frogs, like 8-9 months before, on the second plague, the frogs jumped into the fire, into the furnace. Hashem said to the frogs, fill up Egypt. He did not tell which frog should jump into the fire and which one should jump into the water. Obviously, it's much better to jump to the water. They like water. Why some of them jump into the oven and got burned? The answer is devotion, mesirut nefesh. Later, there will be Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. They learn from the frogs, kal vachomer, needless to say. If the frogs that are animals with no free will, they gave their life to do Kiddush Hashem, we Jews that we are obligated to do Kiddush Hashem, isn't it needless to say that we have to give our life? By the way, Rav Steinemann asked, what kind of Kiddush Hashem is this when nobody learned from it anything? Did the Egyptian become righteous after they saw the frogs goes into the fire? No. Did you know one Egyptian became a tzaddik? Now one of them changed. They learned from the frogs that they jump into the fire, and the Egyptian did not change. Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, They jumped into the fire. Nebuchadnezzar threw them into the fire. Hashem made them a miracle. They came out of the fire. What happened? Nobody did tshuva. The wicked people did not learn. Rav Steinemann asked, if someone did Kiddush Hashem and it did not help, nobody became righteous from your Kiddush Hashem. Does it count for you Kiddush Hashem or no?
Yes.
What do you think? Huh? You try to do Kiddush Hashem. You came to an Arab deli. Muhammad, kif halak? Wallah, Yahud? You're coming to my store? Don't worry, Muhammad. You gave me by mistake extra $20 change yesterday. I came to give it back to you. What will he scream? Hypothetically speaking, you liar! I gave you 100 extra. You a thief. I know you guys. Not only was not Kiddush Hashem, in the end it became Chilul Hashem. Everybody looked around, they see the Jew, the Yarmulke, and the Arab is screaming, because he's an anti-Semite. You may find a nice Arab that would say, oh, very nice of you, I'm so impressed. Yes, yeah, good and bad you have everywhere. We're talking about an anti-Semite one. He will begin to scream, you liar! It was more than 20. Do you get the Kiddush Hashem or no?
Yes.
100%. Even if you're alone in a room between you and Hashem and you did Kiddush Hashem, you get the reward. So the frogs jump into the fire. Did they get burned? They came out. They saw that they're coming out of the furnace not burned. But they did not learn. We should become better, the Egyptians. The dogs, they were only quiet when the Jews came out of Egypt. The dogs did not risk their life. The dogs did not jump into the fire. The dogs were only quiet. What's greater? Someone who jumped into the fire for Hashem, or someone that has what to say and he said, I'm not going to speak? Rav Chaim Kanievsky say, everybody must do vaccine. From this moment on, I don't open my mouth anymore. Even though I'm a big doctor and I'm against it. The Gdol Ador say to do, from this moment on, I don't open my mouth. I don't type. Nobody care about my opinion. If not, I cannot call myself religious. Rule number one in religion is Emunat Chachamim. Gdolei Ador. That's it. Cancel your opinion. No, but I have articles and I'm going to show you 500 YouTube videos. Who care about your videos, you fool? The biggest rabbi in the world right now, a holy, 93 years old, from a holy family and descendants of generations, the leader of the world, say everybody must take it. Pregnant women, teenagers, everyone. And if you don't, you are a potential murderer and you're risking the life of others. That's the ruling. And with him together, 8 top rabbis in the whole world, Sfaradim, Ashkenazim. Top in the world, Rav Zilberstein, Rav Sternbuch, Rav Chaim Kanievsky, and Rav Yitzchak Yosef, Rav Shalom Cohen, and Rav Mazuz, Rabbi Mutzafi, 8 top rabbis in the world. With all due respect to the second name you mentioned, he's not one of Gdolei Ador. His father was, but he's not. We go by the Gdolei Ador. I can show you hundreds of regular good Talmidei Chachamim that may be against it. I'm not denying it. I know it. I hear from them every day. But it doesn't matter. Even if the most righteous person in the world, you're the holiest Kabbalist, you fast every day, you cry for the Shekhinah in the Western world from morning to night, and your opinion is against it, even though you are in a very high place in Shamayim, you are not Man de Amar, you're not Gdol Ador, you're a big tzaddik, big chacham, everything is fine. Rav Chaim Kanievsky מכריע את כולם. 1,000 Talmidei Chachamim come and say not to do, Rav Chaim Kanievsky say everybody must do, if not you're a murderer, end of story. You want to see the video? They come with a list. Ask him all the questions. I can show you the video. I have about 7 videos of him. Every day they keep recording. Every day. And he say, Grandpa, if someone refused to take it and he risk other people, is this risking their life? He said, absolutely. The pregnant women, they're afraid to take it. Should they take it? Absolutely, they must take it. Young people, they must take it. I'll show you the video. I send it to some people on my group today. So that's end of story. You're not allowed to open your mouth. Nobody care what I think. Nobody care what this big tzaddik who fast every day thinks. We only care what the top Talmidei Chachamim in the world think. That's it. Once they all unanimously say you must take it, you don't want to take it, risk your life. Sit at home. Don't take it. You die, you're going to deal with Hashem later. Why you didn't listen to the Chachamim? Today Rav Amrami is a very big Talmid Chacham Tzaddik in Yerushalayim, in Har Choma. You can listen to his recording, I have it here. He spoke, probably it was last night, in his shul. He has a very big shul. I spoke there twice. Big shul in Yerushalayim, with maybe 500-600 people or more. He spoke about it. He said, if someone, after he heard Rav Chaim Kanievsky say to take it, and he will open up his mouth, a person like this can never call himself Shomer Mitzvot. He's mezalzel betalmidei chachamim, begdolei ador. That's why I recommended everyone, just be quiet. Nobody care about your opinion. You're not the Rambam. There are big rabbis in the world. They are the leaders of the generation. Tilmad, learn to put your ego down and be quiet. And that's here. The dogs, every Sefer Torah, they will have a share in it. Why? Why not the frogs? Why they don't use the leather of the frogs to do tefillin? Why dogs? The waste of the dogs. The waste. They will make the parchment for the Sefer Torah and tefillin and mezuzot. Because their nature was to scream and to make noise. And they force themselves to be quiet, put their ego down. I'm not barking. They got more than the frogs who jumped into the fire. Jumping into the fire to die for Hashem is an unbelievable devotion. We don't have to explain that. But it's nothing compared to closing your mouth with your lousy ego. Just put your ego down, be quiet. If you do that, Hashem is going to give you a very big yishar koach in Shamayim. To learn to be mevatel da'atcha bifnei talmidei chachamim. And I've seen hundreds of times people that ask big talmidei chachamim and they shock them. And they force themselves to listen and it saved their life. Or God forbid the other way around. Those who say, I'm going to go to another chacham. He probably will allow. And what was their end? Hashem Yirachem, what was their end? This is one of the principles of the Torah. Every generation Hashem put big Talmidei Chachamim, Yiftach bedoro keshmuel bedoro. Don't come to me with question, but Rav Chaim Kanievsky is not in the level of the Rambam. And the Rambam is not in the level of Rabbi Akiva. And Rabbi Akiva, enough with this shtuyot. The Torah says every generation has their leader. And if the leader today is nothing compared to someone from 2,000 years ago, what's the big deal? I told you, Yiftach bedoro keshmuel bedoro. Yiftach does not reach 1% of Shmuel. Shmuel was higher than Moshe and Aaron combined, the Gemara says. Yiftach is a soldier. What is he? A Gdol Ador? It wasn't Gdol Ador. You can see it wasn't something out of the ordinary when it comes to knowledge in Torah. But the generation was so poor, and the Gemara says he was the leader. He was the leader. What can you do? And today you have big leaders. Yes, maybe compared to us, they're very big chachamim. Compared to the rabbis in the Gemara, they're not reaching even 1% of their level, but it's no problem. You must do what they say. From the minute one big giant, if Rav Eliashiv was alive today, it would be Rav Eliashiv. Before Rav Eliashiv passed, it was Rav Steinemann. Rav Steinemann passed, he became Rav Chaim Kanievsky. Rav Karelitz, there's few big Chachamim. Rav Sternbuch, everybody knows. Nobody comes and say, I'm bigger than Rav Sternbuch in Halacha. No one will dare to say it. By the Sfaradim, no one will come and say, I'm bigger than Rav Mazuz. Or few other big Talmidei Chachamim. That's everybody knows who are considered the top. The same thing you know about doctors, who's considered a top doctor in the world, and who's just another ordinary doctor, and everybody knows it in the medical world. Same thing you know about big generals in the army, who's considered a top general and who's not. The same thing you know when it comes to Torah, who is a big Chacham and who is just an ordinary one. And remember, just because this Chacham is very big tzaddik, just because he may have Ruach HaKodesh, just because he fasts every day and cry for the Shekhinah, is the biggest tzaddik on earth, no question. Nobody questioning his holiness. He's not Rav Chaim Kanievsky. When it comes to Torah, he finished just hundreds of times. Before them, there was Rav Moshe Feinstein. Rav Moshe Feinstein was Posek Ador. If Rav Moshe Feinstein says something, it was the end of the argument. That's it. There were many other big Chachamim in America. I always say, if there was the top 8 rabbis in the world, 4 of them say to do, 4 say not to do, okay. You have who to count on. You go by Rav Zilberstein, he goes by Rav Kanievsky, he goes by Rav Sternbuch, he goes by Rav Eliashiv, and one follow his big Gadol. No problem. I'm not telling you what to do. You have who to count on. But when you have top 8 in the world, they all openly say everybody must go and get it. That's the end of story. 1,200 people died in 24 days in Israel. 1,200. So far, 5,000 people died. If the things will continue the way it is, by the end of the year, we will have more than 20,000 deaths. I just want to let you know, from the time Israel became a state until today, 73 years, all the people that died and murdered by Arabs in all the war, in all terror attack, all over the world, is 23,000 and few hundreds. We didn't get to 24,000 yet. One more year of the corona like this, we will have more death than the entire 73 years of wars and battles, everything. And they're still arguing what's going to happen in 10 years from now. What, 100 people die every day, you're not worried? Why are you not worried about this? We try everything we... Don't get me wrong. There's definitely no guarantee that this vaccine will save the world. Hashem can bring a different one. Different mutation, the vaccine will not cover it, and we'll all be dead in a year or two. We don't know. Now they're talking about a new virus. Nipah. 75% contagious. Corona, 0.5%. Nipah, 75%. 150 times more contagious. You know what it is? They don't know what to do now. Hashem is furious. There's judgment in the world. You have to be blind to ignore it. Save yourself. The boat is sinking. Save yourself. If we live or not, we don't know. We don't know. Anybody here can raise his hand and promise that he will be live here next Tuesday? Do you remember yourself in a situation that you can't even promise that you will come next Tuesday to the lecture because there's a serious chance that Chas v'Shalom you won't make it? So, we have to ask a question. Sometimes it's easier to jump into the fire than to be quiet. Sometimes in the neighborhood there's big arguments between the neighbors or in a synagogue or between the Rebbes. The Rebbe died and he has 2 sons. One wants to be the Admor, the other one also wants. Beginning now, 1 year, 2 years, everybody murder everyone. I'm with him, I'm against him, he's this, he's that, he's a shegetz, he's a tzaddik, he's that. Non-stop, non-stop lashon hara. Thousands of people already lost their olam haba. Big deal, if he will be the Rebbe or he will be the Rebbe. That's what you're going to lose your olam haba for? When 2 big chachamim argue, you have to learn to be quiet. One time a person came to me and asked me, tell me, who is greater? Rav Ben Zion Abba Shaul or Rav Ovadia Yosef? I keep hearing you're talking sometimes about him and sometimes you're talking about him. Can you tell me once for all who was higher? I say to that genius that asked me that question, in order for me to tell you which one of these two giant holy chachamim are bigger, I have to learn another 200 years to reach their league, and then I'll be able to weigh them and to be able to tell you he's a little bit higher. But since I won't live 200 years to get to that level, and so I won't be able to answer you such a question. I do not know enough about art. You will ask me, who is greater, Leonardo da Vinci or Picasso? What do I know? I know there's two big giant names in art. If you tell me now, swear that this is better or swear that this is better, will I know? Will I put my head in a subject that I have no idea what the argument is about? I saw the statue that one woman here in Flatbush bought for $105 million. If it would be in the garbage on the street, I would not bend down to pick it up. It's so ugly. Apparently, people who knows about art decided that it's worth more than $100 million. Why? I don't know. I have no idea. You ask me, it's pure stupidity. You ask them, I am the stupid one. Did you see the picture ketchup on canvas? Did you see or no? Somebody took paint like ketchup, made a circle like this. You know how you put on the French fries? On canvas. $46 million. I put it on my Facebook page. 7,000 or 8,000 Israelis went crazy. So my son have better painting in the house here in the drawer. You ask me, you convince me. I need you to tell me that your 5-year-old son made better pictures than this. I know he did. But for some reason in Sotheby's, nobody will pay you $2 for your son painting. And they decided that ketchup worth $46 million. I don't know, maybe he came from a shish kebab restaurant in Brooklyn, I don't know.
People that are afraid to take the vaccine, what I recommend is getting a random test, a very high chance for those positive. Take the false positive, go to the mother, they give you plasma. Then you get the same antibodies as the vaccine.
What's plasma? I don't know.
That's what they have.
From another person?
Yeah.
Oh, from another person.
So like this, if you want to avoid
Okay.
risk, there's always an out.
If it's productive just as much as vaccine, why not?
The second thing is by the dogs, always their cheshbon. That's so fucking right, because they said that man's best friend is the dog. So we're on the same level as the human. So they said, why are we going to talk? But the moment they saw the high level that the Jewish people were, that's a different type of human, they kept quiet.
But I didn't finish yet with the dog. You know, I have letters from all kinds of people. Some of them are genius, some of them are weirdos. You know how it is. I saw a few days ago an email, a comment. Sometimes I don't know if to laugh or to cry when I see those comments. You have to try to imagine who would write such a letter in public. One person wrote, I don't even know if he's Jewish, maybe he was not Jewish. He wrote, I was addicted to the rabbi. Listened to hundreds of his speeches until he said that you should not have a dog at home. Now there is a debate over there. All my lawyers jump. No, you don't understand. The rabbi have nothing against dogs. He just speaks from a spiritual point of view. There are people that willing to give up thousands of hours Torah and billions of mitzvot because they came to the world to be the servants of the most impure animal in the history of the world. That's what the Torah said. The dogs, spiritually, not physically. Physically is beautiful. You know this lassie? What a nice fur. You know, what's a Siberian husky? The blue eyes, wow, it's a few $1,000, so clean, shampoo. Wow, they sleep in the bed with him. Come, Johnny, come over here. You know, so it's a very clean dog. We're not talking about the body of him, clean, not clean, full of mud, full of lice. That's not what we're talking here about. The dog is not impure because he's dirty or because he's whatever. It's only we're talking about spiritually. The most wicked reincarnation, wicked people are being reincarnated in dogs. because it's the biggest amount of suffering to the soul to be attached to the nefesh of a dog. Although the dog is the most faithful animal to a human being, it would save life, it will die for you. One person went to a hospital, one person, the dog sat by his room 1 week without moving. Don't give him food, don't give him water. He doesn't move out of the, and they try to push him away in the hospital. He doesn't move. Everyone is afraid. For 1 week, he did not move out of the room. Sat by the door. Do you know another animal that would be so loyal? Dog save life. Dog bust drugs. Dog almost caught my pizza when I bought it from Israel, from my uncle pizza shop. Came around. Baruch Hashem. In the end, one woman got $300 fine for having a green apple. You know, so they're very helpful, the dogs. Some of them are lifeguard in a pool. They jump, they save kids. We give them all the credit in the world. Then half of the lecture today is to tell you how great they were when we came out of Egypt. Thanks to them, we did not get caught. But we're not talking about physical. We're talking about spiritually. Spiritually, the nefesh. You can have a person that's very rich and handsome and a professor, but his neshama is black, impure, full of dirt. There's nothing to do with the fact that he's a president and is a multi-billionaire and he lives in a beautiful place and dressed the most beautiful clothes in the world. What does it have to do with that? We're talking about the spirit here. Nothing to do with the body. Same thing the dogs. The body, maybe the cleanest, maybe the most fun to be around. Impure, spiritually. It's not good to bring into the house. Some people cannot have kids because of that. Some pregnant women had miscarriages because of that. Some people parnasa is messed up because of that. There's a lot of Kabbalistic warnings about it. Let's not get into it because people get angry that they have to let go their dogs. But by the way, how many people heard? Huh? The Arabs hate dogs. If a dog will touch an Arab in his hand, wow. The owner of that dog, Yitgadal Vitkadash Merabah. It's already going on a list, the hit list of the Hamas. Immediately. Why? Because the dog touches them. Why the Arabs hate dogs? Because they learn from us. Why they hate pigs? You tell an Arab eat pork. Khanzir? Get out of here, Khanzir. They hate it. Why? Because they learn in the Torah that it's impure animals. The Arabs. Somehow they only learn what they want to learn. For instance, from camel, they didn't learn that it's impure. It's also not kosher, but they eat camels. Top. Anyway, let's move on. So, the dog is like a robot. You see meat, he runs. You see food, he runs. You see a female, he moves his tail. You will always know in advance what the dog will do in certain scenarios, right? Most animals are like that. You already know when someone will come by the door, the mailman. How do you know the mailman came? The dog, he hates the mailman. I don't know why they hate mailmen, I don't know, but they hate the mailman. So, okay, so what's the conclusion over here? In the book of Knaf Renanim, he's talking about Perek Shira. He's asking, why Rabbi Yeshaya fasted 85 days? Now more and not less. Why the angel came and told him, by the way, the question you asked, just go, don't ask. What's the secret here? The answer is, we know today 2 million different species. Maybe more even than that. That's what we know. In Perek Shira, only 85 of them praise Hashem. Only 85. They sing to Hashem. Rav Yeshaya fasted 85 each day to know why that animal, why this one, and why this one. About Perek Shira. He wanted to know why these 85 animals were chosen and why the dog, which is the most arrogant one, he got to be the conductor of the band, of the orchestra. Why? He got the most important line. What is it? I said, Lechu nivrecha lifnei Hashem, Elokeinu, let's bow down to Hashem. Rav Yosef ben Amram, in his book, Be'er Torah, he said, he was shocked why the dog got Bo'u nishtachave v'nichra. Let's gather all of us and bow down to Hashem. To bow down to Hashem, dogs are very proud, very arrogant, very angry. That's not their nature to come and bow down to anyone. Why would they come and bow down to Hashem? Why they got this job? The answer is, you have a leopard, a tiger, a lion. None of them come and say, let's bow down to Hashem. The dogs got this line because they did not open their mouth and they went against their nature. Everything by Hashem is measure for measure. Midah keneged midah. Because you went against your nature and you did not bark when you wanted to, because of that you're going to get the line that is totally against your nature. You're going to get the most important line out of all the praises of Hashem. Usually when the dog barks, what's the noise? Have, 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 have. What's have? Give, 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 give. Have in Hebrew means give. When they bark, they want something. Have, 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 have. What do you want? Don't move, don't walk here. Okay. Have. I want food. Have. He saw his girlfriend passing by on the street. Have. Why? He wants to go out. He needs to go to the bathroom. He will bark. Somebody is breaking into the house. He will bark. They have a purpose for this barking. That's the secret. That Hashem say, all of this, by the way, you should know, it's a lesson for us to learn how Hashem runs the world. It's not so important, the dog's praise, not the dog, the leopard, who cares? We don't care anymore which animal will sing to Hashem. It's not about that. It's about how Hashem pays reward to any species based on their doing against their nature. If your nature is non-stop to speak gossip, every time you will hold yourself not to speak gossip, you will get a huge reward. Your friend has no interest to speak gossip, no desire. He doesn't get reward. He doesn't have a Yetzer Hara for it. You have big Yetzer Hara. You have a big Yetzer Hara to steal. You're working for someone, there's a lot of opportunity to steal. Your friend is not a thief. You leave diamonds by him and never touch. He doesn't have Yetzer Hara for it. The one who wants to steal and didn't get a huge reward. The one who did not want to steal doesn't have a test. A woman that does not have desire to show herself in public, she doesn't have this all day like this, with her high heels and tight clothes. She doesn't have. She's very solid and modest. She doesn't want to attract too much attention, like our grandmothers. Most of them used to be like that. So if she doesn't have this desire, she doesn't have a test. A woman that all day think who would look at me and who will give me compliment, and she overcome her test, she get a huge reward for it. A person that is a doctor is full of ego, is multi-millionaire, drive his Bentley, live in Park Avenue, modern Orthodox Jew. He thinks in his mind, I am the second God on earth. There's God and then I'm number two. Meaning when Hashem is maybe wants to get a nap, I will run the world. If somebody disrespects him, oh my gosh, you have to see how he reacts. Someone like that came to the conclusion you should not take a vaccine. Then you come and say to him, doctor, be quiet. The top 8 rabbis in the world in Israel rule to take. What? The rabbis will tell me what to do in medicine? Who do you think they are? Lost his olam haba. Was quiet? I respect. There are two different kinds of doctors. Some of them you see on the video. They came to Rav Chaim Kanievsky to ask. He's a doctor. He comes to Rav Chaim, Rabbi, what should I do? Should I tell people to take the vaccine or not? Why? Puts his ego down. Why? Diseases, viruses come from whom? From Hashem, not from nature. Nature is a cover-up. Hashem decides who will get it and who will die. Why? We make sins. When we make sins, we have to do tshuva. A part of doing tshuva is to go to the big rabbis and ask them what to do. If they would say not to take, no problem. Rav Amrami says something strong. One person asked him, what happens if I become paralyzed? If I listen to the rabbi? He says, so, you're lucky. You come to Hashem after you finish your life. Say, look, I follow the words of the Chachamim like you say in the Torah, and look what happened to me. What do you think Hashem is going to do? Going to pay you for that? When you see your heaven for that, the last thing you worry about is maybe you couldn't move your arm, or your face was a little bit crooked. That's a kol emunat Chachamim. I don't ask questions. But don't ask. My Rav say to do, I don't ask. Chazon Ish say to do, nobody made a beep. Who would open his mouth? Chazon Ish in Bnei Brak say, do it. When Chazon Ish came to Bnei Brak, there was one modern yeshiva there. The modern yeshiva over there was 1,000,000 times better than the yeshivot today. Because it was 70, 80 years ago, 90 years ago, who knows. He said, Bnei Brak will become a city of Torah. People laugh. It's all sand and orchards, trees. There's nothing there. Chazon Ish said, we're going to make this place a city of Torah. Number 1 city of Torah in the world is Bnei Brak. Less hard attacks in Bnei Brak than any city in the world. Almost every person there is an avrech. Almost every apartment, tiny apartment, have 6, 7 learners of Torah. Kids, this, all, banot, yeshivot, almost everyone. Jerusalem, plenty of Arabs, plenty of secular wicked people. Jerusalem is not Bnei Brak. Bnei Brak, 98% ultra-Orthodox. Almost no Chilonim. And not only religious, almost all of them Bnei Torah. Everyone, Sfaradim, Ashkenazim, Hasidim, Chatzerot, Vichnitz, this, that. Everywhere you go, all the streets named after big Rabbanim. You don't have in Bnei Brak almost any pritzut. It's a place of Torah, of place you feel the religion there. Jerusalem, it's a lot of holy neighborhoods. What about all the Arab neighborhoods over there? What about all the Chilonim drive on Shabbat? Yerushalayim is full of cars, the highway. What about all the tourists, all the Christians, all the Avodah Zarah full of Yerushalayim? Bnei Brak is different. It's completely clean. No tourists go to Bnei Brak. To see what? An apartment with leaks? 8 kids in a room? What are they going to see in Bnei Brak? Old buildings? There's nobody interested in Bnei Brak. Ask people, tourists, where did you go to Israel? If one time they'll tell you, I went to Bnei Brak, you get a prize. If they're very religious, they went to Bnei Brak for one reason, to see Rav Chaim Kanievsky, to wait 3 hours online. Maybe they'll get a bracha. For that they did. But there's nothing else to see. Chazon Ish said Bnei Brak will be a place of Torah. Nobody made a bib after that. The rabbi said, that's what we're going to do. Look today what happened. Why? Because Hashem, HaTzadik gozer, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu mekayem. Even if this vaccine was a potential life risk, once the big Chachamim in the world say, take it and don't worry, that's it, you're safe. In the war, when Saddam Hussein shot 60 Scud missiles in Israel, 21 fell in the ocean, 39 fell on Israel. Bnei Brak has more than 100,000 people. They asked Rav Chaim Kanievsky, should we wait 8 hours online to get a mask? Saddam has chemical weapon. He shot at Iran. Every Scud missile with chemical killed more than 800 Iranians. They all have holes in their faces, their eyes spilled out. Mustard gas. One is going to shoot at Israel, we can chas v'shalom have 100,000 dead. Should we go get a mask and a nylon? In case there is a siren, we have to cover ourselves with the nylon because the gas will not penetrate it. If it goes on the skin, that's it. It eats all your skin. Rav Chaim Kanievsky said, why mask? It's Purim? He said, no, Rabbi, it's life risk. He said, Bnei Brak, no missile will fall on Bnei Brak. Don't stop the learning. Rabbi, you sure? Yes. Sit and learn. Imagine now, God forbid, if a missile will fall in Bnei Brak with a mustard gas or a choking gas and will kill 10,000 people. That would be the end of Judaism. Who would ever listen to Chachamim after that? How will he have such shoulders to put the life of 200,000 people on his shoulders? One little mistake, and chas v'shalom, the biggest tragedy in Israel could happen. 100%. Don't worry. One missile fell 1 block away from Bnei Brak. Knocked down a building in Ramat Gan. The entire building fell down. It did not enter Bnei Brak. Sirens all over Israel. People continue to learn Gemara. When Rav Ovadia was a teenager, the Jordanians used to shoot missiles on Jerusalem, from East Jerusalem. They were in charge. One night, Friday night, sirens all over. Rav Ovadia, when he was learning, was so much into the learning, you can throw a bomb next to him, he would not realize. The proof for it is the video on YouTube that Benjamin Netanyahu, with all his gorilla bodyguards, walked into his room and stood over there more than 5 minutes with a walkie-talkie. And as the Prime Minister of Israel standing next to Rav Ovadia while he was learning, 5 minutes. Such an embarrassing video. You saw that or no? He was dying from shame. He doesn't even look at me, the rabbi. When he realized he's in a room, he got shocked. Oh, Baruch haba. 5 minutes. They're all standing and they're talking. He said to them, leave the rabbi. He's probably in the middle of something important. Don't disturb him. They talk next to him. And he does not realize the Prime Minister of Israel stand 1 step from his chair. Rav Ovadia went to have a surgery in his stomach. The doctor said to him, let us give you the anesthesia. He said, how long will I be sleeping? He told him 3 hours. He said, can you do it without it? I said, Rabbi, I have to cut your whole stomach open. He said to him, if you do it without anesthesia, I don't have to recover after, right? You close everything. The doctor said, well, are you serious? He said, wait few minutes until I begin to learn. When you see that you make noise and I don't pay attention anymore, you can do whatever you want. I'm not in this world. They operated on him with no anesthesia. Why? Because he did not want to lose 2 hours of Torah. Each hour of Torah is 60,000 mitzvot. Why should I be sleeping in a hospital 2 more hours? Do you understand? That's what it means. That's when Rav Moshe Feinstein here in Lower East Side, when they told him, Rabbi, a Jewish boy just got hit by a car. His yarmulke is next to his body. Rav Moshe Feinstein said, I'm sorry, this kid is not Jewish. So Rabbi, he's a Jewish kid. The yarmulke is next to his head. Go and check. Rabbi, please, it's a Jewish kid. What goy has a yarmulke? Go and check. I went there. After 10 minutes, he came back. Rabbi, I can't believe it. You're right. It was not a Jewish kid. But how did you know? I told you the yarmulke is next to his head. Apparently, a Jewish kid was running, and a goy was chasing him to beat him up. His yarmulke fell on the street, and the car hit the goy, and the goy down on the spot next to the yarmulke, and the Jew ran away. But how did you know? And he said, Hashem will not do it to me. Under my apartment, a Jewish boy will lose his life in a place I learned Torah 40, 50 years non-stop around the clock. Wow. From all the world, he cannot find another place to kill that boy, chas v'shalom, if he needed to die. He cannot kill him in a different city or uptown or anywhere else in a different street. Right under my home, where all day I answer people questions and write my books. He cannot be. Same thing when a woman came to Rav Moshe Feinstein after the Vietnam War. Rabbi, don't ask what happened. A few years ago you gave me permission to get remarried because my husband was missing in Vietnam. Guess what? I got married and I have 2 children and my husband just showed up. Rav Moshe Feinstein Zatzal told her, you're lying. I never gave you that letter. She said, Rabbi, here is the stamp of your bedin. Your signature on it. He was standing a few steps away from her. His grandson was his shamash, standing next there. He got the shock of his life. Imagine what's going to happen now. The kids are mamzerim. She got remarried. It's a married woman. Disaster. He said to her, I never gave you that letter. Rabbi, I was here a few years ago. I told you this, that. You asked me all kinds of questions. I answer. You ask people. I never gave you that letter. Then she started to cry. You're right, I'm lying. Get out of here. How did you know, Zaidi? How did you know, Grandpa? How did you know? We have hundreds of people coming here every week to the Beit Din. Questions, this, that, pressure. How did you even know? You don't even look at the women anyway when they come to ask questions here. How did you know? You never. She comes with such confidence. You gave me this letter with your signature. He said to him, I give my life for the public, for Hashem. You think I need it? Why do I need this headache? All day answering questions, this, what, to do, not to do. All my life I give. I don't do it for money or anything or a job. So why will Hashem do such thing to me? I'm serving him and he's going to stick a knife in my back. After all I do is try to answer people what to do to make Hashem happy. I'm going to allow a woman to get remarried and their children will be mamzerim. Hashem is going to do such a thing to me. Hashem is going to do such thing to me. You know, one rabbi in Israel, he just spoke a few days ago in his weekly speech. He said he went to Rav Wozner. Rav Wozner was the biggest Hasidic posek in the world until a few years ago he passed. Big Talmid Chacham. Rav Wozner came to the world because his mother, when she was a kid, she was an unbelievable opera singer. No one in Europe had a better voice than her. When the Goyim found out that there's a Jewish girl with a voice that nobody ever heard such voice, they wanted to make her the star of Europe. She's going to fill up stadiums. She started already, you know how it is. You have the best voice in the world and you want to sing and you're religious, you can't sing in front of men. It's a very big test. They took her to the Rebbe and the Rebbe told her, if you will overcome this test, and you will not join the Goyish orchestra, I'm going to give you a blessing that you will have a son that would light the entire world with his Torah. And who did she get? This Rav Wozner, one of the biggest poskim. And it's interesting because his sons are also big rabbis. You know, not like him, but he was one of the top rabbis in Israel. So one rabbi said now in his speech, I went to Rav Wozner. I walked in, I asked him a question, he told me that's what's gonna be. Do it like this. When I came out the door, I hesitated. How does the rabbi, what is he, a prophet? How does he tell me such a thing? I turn around and I say to him, Rabbi, maybe you have a second thought about it. Maybe you want to rethink about it. So he said, no, just do what I told you. He said, but Rabbi, I'm just curious. Forgive me for asking. How are you so sure about it? So he told him, if I told you that what has to be, from Shamayim Hashem will not make me make a mistake. Don't you worry. Confident. I once asked a big rabbi, I told him, how do you answer to people like this? Do you have Ruach HaKodesh? I want to know. If you have Ruach HaKodesh, fine, I don't ask questions. How do you know? A guy asks you, should I go to Florida? Yeah, to one you say yes, to the other one you say no. Florida is Sodom and Gomorrah. It's a killer for the soul. A lot of religious people go there and lose their neshama now, as we speak. Because they are tired of New York and the freezing weather and the corona. Florida, it's full of religious people in Florida. I don't have to tell you what's happening there. Beach, that, fine. You go to the beach in a different time. Come on. So he looked at me with such a look, my blood froze. He told me, what do you think I do all day? All day I sit and cry to Hashem that when people come to ask me what to do, He will always show me the right answer. For them, not for me. Do I shout for it? Do I need this headache? I answer them based... Rav Ben Zion Abba Shaul told my uncle retired. He was supposed to get money in 2 months from Amcor, refrigerator company in Israel. He was 60 years old, that's it. Maybe not even. He came to Rav Ben Zion Abba Shaul, he told him, with the money I will get for retiring, I can buy an apartment in Ramle, cash, no mortgage. Ramle is not a fancy place. Or I can go to Jerusalem and buy an apartment, but it's going to cover only half. I will still need to have half of the apartment by mortgage. Rav Ben Zion told him, when you get the money in 2 months, come back and ask me that question. My uncle almost dropped dead from fear. He thought maybe he sees that they're not going to give him the money, which he worked 40 years for that money, retirement money. So he said to my rabbi, you see that I'm not going to get the money? No, nothing like that. So what's the difference now in 2 months to answer this question? Should I buy in Ramle or should I buy in Yerushalayim? He said to him, because when you have the money in your hand, it will become halacha lema'aseh. It will actually become a practical halacha question. That's when Hashem will show me what to tell you. Right now I don't see. Then later he came to him, he asked him what to do, he told him go to Yerushalayim. He went to Yerushalayim, he became the right-hand man of Rav Kaduri. He used to give Rav Kaduri the tobacco every time he started the shiur. You see him on a video giving him the tobacco. Always push himself to everywhere in front of all the Chachamim. Rav Sofer, this, everybody knew him. And Hashem gave him a son that light the world. Biggest Chacham on earth today. Unbelievable. Biggest Mekubal, biggest Tzaddik. Incredible Chacham. Was learning with Rav Ben Zion Abishal 12 years. From morning to evening. So what do you see over here? So, what do you see over here? When you come and ask a big Chacham, you have nothing to worry about. Hashem, I'm asking your Torah what to do. That's it. Same thing in Shidduchim. Same thing in Shidduch. You ask, there's a dilemma. Should I do it or not? Don't go with your sensitive heart. Judaism is not feelings. I can't live without her. It's going to break my heart. I won't have a life. 1 week I didn't speak to her, I'm dying. That's not the Torah. You have to ask, Rabbi, what should I do? Do it or don't do it. That's it. After you heard the answer, you must do what the Chacham told you. Everything they told you, you must listen to them. Why? Rashi writes, even if they tell you about right that is left and about left that is right, you're not allowed to move an inch from what they told you. Don't mix your own understanding. Don't mix your own understanding. Bnei Israel did not have a merit to come out of Mitzrayim. Hashem gave them a merit. Mitzvat Milah and Korban Pesach. 2 bloods. Sacrifice. Blood. I give my blood. כי אדם הוא הנפש. That's what we send ברית מילה. ואומר לך בדמי חיי, ואומר לך בדמי חיי. דמייך means plural, blood. ברית מילה and קורבן פסח. The blood is mixed. The Satan said they don't have the merit to go out. They're idol worshippers. כיוון שעשה משה את הפסח, when Moshe prepared the sacrifice of Passover, גזר הקדוש ברוך הוא that winds from heaven will come from all 4 directions to the world. And stuck to that sacrifice that Moshe prepared, the first Korban Pesach. All the Jews smell, I don't have to tell you how great lamb smell when you put it on a grill. Already it's heaven, the smell. The restaurant, they have a chimney. 5 blocks away, the wind takes the way. Oh, I'm hungry. You just ate an hour ago. You don't smell the shish kebab? Let's go again. Kafkazi restaurant here. Go. But you ate an hour ago. I got hungry from the smell. Smell ignite the hunger. So, all the Jews came to Moshe now. Before they were not interested. Now they smell the smell of heaven mixed with the lamb. They all came. Give us something to eat. Give us something to eat. How many days the smell would go? How many days? 40. Chazak. Very good. 40 days. Every one of Israel came to Moshe. Feed us from your Pesach. We can't take the suffering of smelling and not eating. Another minute and we're finished. Moshe said to them, you cannot get food unless you circumcise yourself. Go do Brit Milah, come back, I'll give you. I cannot give you anything from the korban, because the Torah says, "V'chol arei lo yochal bo." Someone that is not circumcised cannot eat. Even a goy that converted but did not get circumcised yet, meaning is in the process, he did not get the circumcision yet, he cannot eat. But he knows the whole Torah already, keeps Shabbat, keeps everything, but he's not circumcised yet, cannot eat from Korban Pesach. Everybody agreed to circumcise. Look at the power of desire. How strong it is. I can't. You're willing to sabotage your body? To cut a piece from your body? Yeah. One piece of steak, I'll die for it. No. Tov, they're all circumcised. The bloods were mixing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and take each one of the Jews and kiss him and bless him. As it's written in Yecheskel, Ezekiel 16, ויעבור עלייך וערך מתבוססת בדמייך, ואומר לך בדמייך חיי, ואומר לך בדמייך חיי. We have a rule. The Gemara says in מסכת ראש השנה, כי את עולה, מכשבא עולה לבבל, עולה came to Babylon from Eretz Israel, to Iraq. They said, make Elul a leap month, add one more day. Bnei Eretz Israel, they make it extra day. They made it a month of 30 days. Ula said, do our friends in Bavel know what favors they do when they add an extra day to Elul? Why? What's the favor? The answer is, the Gemara gives two explanations. Because of the dead people. What's the connection? If we have a rule, what's the rule? Rosh Hashanah will never fall on Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. Therefore, Yom Kippur will also never fall on Friday and on Sunday. Right? Because if someone will die, what will they do with his body if he dies on Friday? And Friday is Yom Kippur. The body will have to be 48 hours in 110 degrees. Do you know what will happen in the neighborhood? There was no refrigerator and Chevrat Kadisha and they go in, put him in a freezer, in a refrigerator. It's a different world. So they say if you add that extra day to Elul, you will make sure that Yom Kippur will never be attached to Shabbat. It can fall on Shabbat, but it will never fall a day before and a day after. So it says like this. It says, the Gemara gives two explanations. One is for the dead, that there won't be 2 days in a row that you cannot touch the body, or that you cannot bury the dead, because you cannot bury on Yom Kippur and you cannot bury on Shabbat. On Yom Tov, on second Yom Tov, Jews can bury. First Yom Tov, they can bury by the Goyim. Ahmed come, dig the hole, take the body, they can do it. But on Shabbat, it can't even be buried with a Goy. And also on Yom Kippur. So what happens if Yom Kippur and Shabbat will be attached? You cannot bury the dead. It's going to be a disaster. So they say we make Elul an extra day. If Yom Kippurim should have been on Friday, it will be postponed to Shabbat. If it should have been on Sunday, it will go to Monday. Therefore, there will never be 2 days in a row that you cannot bury. So, the second explanation, Rabotai, you're going to get the shock of your life now, and that's mamash ending right here. Because the vegetables of Yom Tov needs to be fresh. Don't forget, there was no refrigerator. So whatever you go and get in the market on Friday night, maybe Shabbat morning, it will still be fresh. By Sunday, that's it. It's rotten already. In the heat of Israel. No refrigerator. They wanted the vegetables on Yom Tov to be fresh. Who cares about the vegetables now? Tomato will be fresh, the cucumber will be fresh, the lettuce won't get brown. That's what concern them. It says like this. If Rosh Hashanah will fall on Sunday, Sukkot will also be on Sunday. There will be the 2 days you cannot cut fresh vegetables from your garden. 2 days. And Shabbat v'Rishon. So therefore the vegetables after 48 hours will not be fresh. Make people upset. Yom Tov, it's a day of happiness. You make a meal like a king. You have to make a special meal, meat, wine, delicious food, nice clothes. Yom Tov, ושמחת בחגיך. רבותיי, it's hard to believe. We see over here Rav Yitzchak Goldwasser, Rav Yitzchak Pinchas Goldwasser in his book, Tzerufa Imratecha. This is what he writes. It's we are so far from understanding Hashem. We think we are religious. We think we understand what's really important to Hashem, but we are dreaming. If somebody would come and say to you, let's make a Elul Elip month. Why? Because the leathers will not be fresh in Sukkot. Say, well, you're a real moron. I don't think you should stay in yeshiva. Go to yeshiva of, of dudes. Why, Rabbi? Because you speak a lot of shtuyot. I'm sorry, I lost my patience. Rabbi, give me a chance. Nothing will come out of you. Why? You worry about the leathers? That in a sukkah you're going to have green leathers? Or it's going to be a little bit dark? That's what you worry about? Imagine you pull out and show him the Gemara that it's not me worry about it, it's Hashem worry about it. You want to kick him also out of your yeshiva, Rebbe? Maybe Hashem also should be sent out? Chazal already told us the value of mitzvat Yom Tov, oneg Yom Tov. Even the food you eat, that's why you're allowed to cook on Yom Tov. Ashkenazim, they prepare before. Why? If you can prepare before, why should you prepare on Yom Tov? Sfaradim, they can prepare on Yom Tov. Especially if the quality of the food will be better than if you prepared it a day before. Prepare it on Yom Tov. They used to barbecue and they used to cook, they made rice, everything. On the actual Yom Tov. Why today we don't do it? Because there is so much work as it is. And usually on Yom Tov, the cleaning ladies are not available as usual. Especially if you live in a very religious neighborhood. One cars to go into your driveway. Amiga is coming in, ¿Cómo estás, señora? Yeah, ¿qué pasa? It's a little bit difficult. So, let's prepare everything in advance. Only we warm it up. No problem. But Rabotai, we just got a big surprise here. Things that you think you know, you don't know. Things that you are 100% convinced, you must ask a Chacham. Ask the Chacham. You will be shocked. You will be shocked the things he will tell you. My cousin is one of the biggest Chachamim in the world, my Rebbe. The biggest in the world, one of the biggest. Incredible holy person. He learns non-stop 18 hours a day for more than 35 years. Non-stop. He cannot leave the Gemara, Amot, Shabbos, all the time. Barely sleep. All his teeth fell from fasting. Because when you don't have vitamin, your teeth fail. I had to beg him to go to a friend of mine, a dentist, to make some implants that he can at least eat. It's not an ordinary chacham. Every question you ask, from tens of thousands of sugiyot, in a shas, in a poskim, will tell you all the opinions of everyone who ever spoke about it. The hardest sugiyot in a shas. Incredible. He used to give lectures like me 35 years ago. He used to go to apartments and do kiruv. Rav Ben Zion Abba Shaul called him. He said to him, how many days a week you go? He said to him 2 or 3 times. 2 or 3 times. He said to him, did you ask your wife if she agree with that? He said to him, Rabbi, let's say my wife will not be happy about it. Is that a reason for me to stop saving souls? Every night I make another 4, 5, 6 Shomrei Shabbat. It's very, very sharp. He made me Baal Tshuva in an hour conversation. I had no plans at all. Can't resist him. So he said to him, Rabbi, let's say my wife is not going to be very happy about it. She's not sitting and crying and fighting. Let's say she's not happy. Is that a reason for me to stop giving lectures? He said to him, you should maximum make 2 lectures per week, never more. And only after your wife will tell you, I want you to do it. If she even hesitates, you ask her, are you okay with me giving 2 lectures a week? If you see she hesitates, don't do any lectures. He said to him, Rabbi, and who's going to be responsible for all the Baalei Tshuva that will die secular and lose their Olam Haba because we stopped those shiurim? He said to him, do you really think that these Baalei Tshuva that you did, you will benefit from them? You don't understand the Torah. Mitzvah הבאה בעבירה אינה mitzvah. Chazal made a rule from the Torah. Mitzvah that is connected together with the sin on the blood of someone. Moshe did not want to go save the Jews from Egypt. Why? His brother Aaron will be offended. He's 3 years older. 3 years older. 1 week Hashem is begging Moshe, go! The Jews are about to go into the 50th level of impurity. By then you will never be able to get them out. Moshe said, I'm sorry, I can't go. Why? My brother Aaron will be offended. He's older than me. It's tzaddik. There's no reason I should go. On top of it, Anochi aral sfatayim. I have tuma on my lips, some of the Mefarshim say. It's my fault. I take full responsibility for my guilt. The most legendary holy people, they always blame themselves. Not like us. We always find someone to blame. His fault, her fault, his fault. Aaron, 1 week, the Shekhinah is not coming down to the Mishkan. He comes to Moshe and says, brother, why you embarrass me? I know because of me Hashem does not want to come and put His holiness on the Mishkan. So many idol worshippers, Reshaim around, and Aaron is the biggest tzaddik in the world, that Hashem said the Choshen should be on his chest because he's pure heart, and he take full responsibility. Because of me the Shekhinah did not come. Yonah the tzaddik Yesod Olam, the prophet, he's on a boat. Storm, he's trying to run from Hashem. The Goyim ask him, Yonah ben Amitai, what's your name? Yonah ben Amitai. מה מעשיך? קום קרא לאלוקיך, בן אדם עליך נרדם. That's what we say in Slichot. It comes from the book of Yonah. The Goyim, everyone has his idol. They kiss their idols. Everyone with his nonsense. They see, who are you? I'm a Jew. Why don't you get up and cry to your God? We're all going to die here. He said, it's all because of me, the storm. You don't have to suffer because of me. Carry me. Throw me into the water. Everything will be peaceful. Imagine this. The Goyim did not want to do it. There was not anti-Semite Goyim, Democrats like here. As many of them were idol worshippers, they did not have the heart to take the Jew and throw him into the water. So they tried. They threw him into the water. Oil. No waves, no nothing. So okay, Baruch Hashem. Come. They brought him back on the boat. בשלי היה השר הזה. Right away took responsibility. That's a great Jew. Always blame himself. It's not your wife's fault, it's not your son's fault, it's not your partner, it's not this, it's not that, it's not the neighbor, it's not your Rebbe's fault, it's not your Chevruta's fault. You gotta learn to take full responsibility to your action. Even if it's not your fault, 100%. Everybody knows it's not your fault. You take the fault. You take the fault. How many times in yeshiva they ask, who did this and this? Rebbe came. Somebody ate garlic. Somebody ate garlic. You can breathe from the bad smell. Rebbe, the president of Israel, he wrote the Mishnah. Without him, we wouldn't have Torah today. He's a descendant of David HaMelech. He said, I'm sorry. Whoever ate garlic, please get up and leave the room. One student got up. I was about to leave. Everybody got up and left. The next day, son saw the person on the street. Shame on you. You ruined my father's shiur in yeshiva yesterday. So I swear it wasn't me. I didn't eat garlic. So why did you get up? I did not want the person that ate garlic to be blamed, to be ashamed. Everybody got up and left. Why did the Gemara bring all these stories? To teach you how to behave. They wanted to do Ibur Hashanah, Shmuel HaKatan. They said they have extra Chachamim. There's extra rabbi here. Whoever was not invited should get up and leave. The Gemara said it was Shmuel HaKatan. He got up and he's about to leave. He told them, no. Nobody here deserves to do it more than you. So why are you leaving? Why? Because I don't want someone else to be embarrassed. I'd rather go. Different way of thinking. Complete different way of thinking. You understand, Rabotai? So Rav Ben Zion Abba Shaul told him, mitzvah haba be'avera, it's not a mitzvah. Doesn't matter how many Baal Tshuva you have, it's not a mitzvah. Yes, they're going to do mitzvot, but you're not going to get the credit for it. Why? Because your wife will be upset at home every night. Later, he went into Torah full time, and that's it. He will never go to any, he doesn't leave Yerushalayim. You tell him, I'll give you $20,000 cash, come to Tel Aviv to be sandak for 1 hour and come back to Yerushalayim, he refused. No matter what. Don't send me rich people, don't have anyone to distract me, nothing. Why? Once you reach such level, you're already glued to the Shekhinah, that's it. Glued to Hashem. Unbelievable. There was one rich guy. He had a problem with one of his neighbors in the neighborhood. In a mansion that he built, it took him years to decorate it. Years. There was one neighbor that giving him a hard time. A new neighbor. This guy got angry. He has enough money. He got up. He went and bought another mansion. First, I bought another house. He called me up. He said, listen, I bought another house. We're going to move. I said, what? 5 years you work to fix your house now. Now you want to move? What's this? He said to me, yeah, there's a problem. I don't want to be involved with politics. I'm going to move. Tough. I said, how can it be? A few days later, he calls me up. Listen, things worked out. I don't want to move. But I already gave $200,000 down payment of a house that worth almost $3 million. I want to speak to the rabbi in Israel to tell me what to do. I have a way out. I just want to know if it's the right thing to do. I called him up. He said, tell him that a Jew must keep his word. I said to him, but Rabbi, it's almost $3 million. And Corona now, who's going to buy that house? He's going to lose a lot of money. Hundreds of thousands he's going to lose. Plus the taxes over there, it's huge. He said to me, Chazal made a decree as like a curse of someone who commit to do something and back down on his word. It's called מי שפרה מדור המבול, היא פרה ממי שלא שומר את פיו. So the one that punished the people of the flood, all the wicked people on the flood that they died, will punish a person that commit and does not fulfill his commitment. He can never lose from it. Tell him something good will come out of it. Not to cancel the deal. He has a way out. You'd say you're going to buy it? Buy it. What happened from it? Yeshiva, shul, Shabbatonim. And on top of everything, his son learned to be a builder thanks to that house. That alone was worth it. Because, it's a fancy place. You need to know how to work. It's not junk. So now the boy is going to make fortune because he's going to become a top builder. Decoration, everything. Nothing bad can ever happen if you stick to the truth. That's what Rav Amrami said today in his speech. Someone asked him, what happened if I'll be paralyzed in my face, in my hand, from vaccine? He said, what is the question? You come to Hashem, say, I listen to Rav Chaim Kanievsky who say to do it. I'm not asking. The rest is not in my hand. What's the dilemma? Rav Amrami said to me about 2-3 years ago, we were in a Shabbaton in Los Angeles. That's what he said. He said, everywhere I go, the person that organized the lecture tells me, Rabbi, please don't talk over here about Mechalelei Shabbat. Rabbi, please don't talk over here about high heels. Rabbi, please do not talk over here about gay parade. Rabbi, please do not talk about guys that marry goyot here. Why? Every community has their problem. Don't talk over here about Lashon Hara. Don't talk about here about davening too fast. Don't talk about here about politics. Why? Because the people will get angry at me. I organized the lecture and I brought you and you're going to speak about the Mechalelei Shabbat. What do you think is going to happen to me? My people of my community will get angry at me. So he said, every time I go to a place and they tell me, please do not talk about this tonight, that's all I talk about. Just about this. He said, Rabbi, don't talk about people who come to shul with a car. It's a sensitive issue here. There's a valet parking here. Valet parking on Shabbat, on Yom Kippur, valet parking. How can they look at themselves in a mirror, these criminals? Valet parking. Bringing people to park their car, לא מתביישים. Zero such ignorance. I can't believe such thing. He comes to the place, that's all he talks about. Rabbi, I asked you not to talk about it. I asked you not to talk about it. One time I was in Shabbaton in LA. The person who organized the Shabbaton told me, today it's the chance of your life. I say, why? Say a billionaire will sit in front of you in the first row. He owns almost 3,000 places. I don't want to say which one because it's a very famous company, everybody knows them. Multi-billionaire, not millionaire, billionaire. He runs the show here, he pays all the expenses by himself. Doesn't need any partners. He will sit in the first row, make sure he would like you. He's a generous guy. If he would like you, you're set for life. Don't ever have to beg people for $50 donations. Huh? Now I see this guy, fancy, sitting in the first row with people, a member of his family. I say to myself, now what would I do? Will I become politician? Or I give my usual lecture? I see people speak in a shul, I see how the ladies get dressed, I see some people comes with a car, some people have cell phone in their pocket. It's a big synagogue. All kinds of secular people showing up. And I see the rabbi over there is so nice, he's afraid to open up his mouth. You know these rabbis that are so nice that they're afraid to even hint about a sin that someone made. They're afraid to hint. Forget about to speak. I said, that's it. That's why Hashem brought me here. I gave a lecture, fire, a nuclear bomb. After the lecture, the guy came to me. Said, I don't understand you. Everybody here came to me and said it was the most inspiring moment of his life. Except this guy. Said, don't dare to bring this guy. Much like that. Don't dare to invite him ever again. Why? Who does he think he is to tell me the truth in my face? Same thing with the murderers there in Ramat Gan. Are you not embarrassed to sell drugs to children, to put bombs in people's cars? They see it and they want to choke me, all these the gangsters of Israel. And they all came to give respect to one of their gang that they put a bomb. You can see it online. They put a bomb under his car in the middle of driving in Shchunat Atikva. Boom! Young guy in his 30s. Has a wife and 2 children. Psh, explosion. All the murderers sitting in the first few rows. Famous from the news. This head of this gang. Tell them the truth in her face. Shame on you. I had here in Brooklyn a biggest gangster in Israel history. Every week in a criminal magazine, Olam Hazeh, he was on the front page. This was 20 years ago and I used to give lectures in East 14 here, in Hebrew, starting at 9 o'clock, finishing 6 a.m. People used to go home at 1. At 1:30, another group came from Manhattan Club. They went to a club, they're showing up at 1:30. Another 8 guys and girls booked in. One night, these two hitmen showed up, shooting people, killing people. After the lecture, the guy, one of them became religious. The second guy wanted to put tzitzit. We gave tzitziot. He comes to me at the voice. As soon as he opens his mouth, your blood freeze. All his face scars, whole scars, full of tattoo, full of muscles. Very scary and very loud voice. Imagine, after I made him Baal Tshuva, he came to Monsey when I used to live in a very Hasidish neighborhood. I used to rent an apartment there. Sons, Kloisenburg Hasidim. All the kids shaved hair, long peot, only Yiddish in the neighborhood. He showed up with his sunglasses, wood slippers, you know these Israeli wood slippers? Came like this with his leather jacket. Where is Rabbi Mizrachi? You hear his voice? All the Hasidim froze. I had to see the neighbors, the Hasidim, you know, we have the sukkah in the deck. They go like this. You know, the Hasidim never saw a person with tattoo, short sleeves, scars like this. So I see all the, the Hasidim. And his voice, so loud, became a Baal Tshuva, this guy. On top of it was Levi. He used to go here to the shul here, one of the Israeli shuls here in Flatbush. He gave up all the money of all the crime. He told me I was in jail in Italy. I robbed the boat with generators. Robbed the boat with thousands of generators. Took over the boat with a gang, with machine guns. The Interpol called us with helicopters. They put me in jail in Italy. 6 a.m. you have to bow down to Maria. You know, the Italians are very Christian. Everybody bow down, I'm the only Jew there. Bow down. No. Boom! Bow down. I never agreed to bow down. I said to him, maybe that's your schut. That you became a Baal Tshuva. One time he told me, listen, when you park your car, you don't have to put quarters in a meter. I looked at him, said, why? He said, put my name on the windshield. I started to laugh, like all of you are laughing. I said, who does this guy think himself? Then one guy told me he wasn't joking. Just put his name in the windshield, nobody here will dare to give you a ticket. One time he went to buy his girlfriend a jewel from Manhattan. The owner was a Korean guy of the store. Someone that was with him, he told me, you have to see. He walked into the store. What do you have for a woman? This, that. The guy saw him. Take. So how much? No money. Take. Gift. I tell you, this guy is still alive. He's in his 70s now. This was over 20 years ago. He had to see. He told me, you don't know Lama Zeh? I say, yeah, I know it. He said, every week I was on the front page with all the big gangsters. Became a Baal Tshuva. One time he told me I don't have money to fix my teeth. Such pain. I have big Yetzer Hara to call one of the people who owe me money from the robberies that they should come pay it. I rather suffer. במקום שבעלי תשובה עומדים, אפילו צדיקים גמורים אינם עומדים. Could be the Rish Lakish of our generation, this guy. Used to daven nets. He rented a room from someone here in Flatbush, side room. 4 o'clock in the mikveh, already davening nets. Who would ever believe? He told me, you see the semi-trailer over there? Show me from the window. A big semi-trailer, far away. I say, yes. He said, I used to go to places. They had drugs over there, lines like these, 2 weeks. Walk like a dog. Smell the drugs. Like this is the way I was. Now I discovered Hashem. In his 50s, discovered Hashem. I don't know what was his chut. But Hashem brought him. He said to me, don't dare to put tzitzit on this guy. And he told me what this guy did one time when they went to a place. I can't repeat it. But this is Rabotai. The most despicable people on earth, there's still a chance that they will do tshuva. Unless they are a lefty Erev Rav. That's a different story. Lefty Erev Rav, the Gemara says, ungrateful people, it's very difficult for them to do tshuva. Liars, people that their entire life is lies, they cannot do tshuva. First, you must get rid of your lies. You have to start readjusting your lifestyle. No more exaggeration, no more stories, no more changing things, none of this. Gotta practice. No, never say a lie. Never say, every time you say a lie, penalty. $20 penalty. Go 1 week. 1 week, I can't lie. If I lie, boom, a gun to the head. I don't lie. 1 week. Policeman pull you over. What's going on? Yes, you're right. I was speeding. How much? Here is it. No problem. No lies. I'm in a rush. I'm going to funeral. My wife is giving birth. No lies. Lies only help in short term. Later it costs a lot more. It looks like you got away with that. 2 weeks later you lose 10 times more. You don't see the connection. Nobody ever gained anything from being a crook, being wicked, and nobody ever lost from being faithful and honest with Hashem. Remember this. That's the last sentence for tonight. Nobody ever lost for following Hashem's instruction in history, and will never ever lose. You stick to the truth, it will pay off. Baruch Adonai leolam, amen ואמן. רבי חנניה בן הקשיא אומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות בישראל. לפיכך